And then the smoke faded very quickly. The undefeated Miami Hurricanes were upset in ugly fashion in Atlanta by Georgia Tech. Fans storming the field in everyone's face. Miami left to fade into the abyss of a suddenly crowded ACC race. But then within hours, Virginia upset Pittsburgh. And Miami was once again in control of its own destiny, like nothing ever happened in Atlanta on Saturday. How about that, Canes fans? We could just pretend that none of it happened. But I don't think that that's going to be the case, even though that Miami has now a destiny for a possible ACC title, which the Canes have never won. They have a destiny for a berth in the college football playoff. But there's a little time in this open week to worry very much about the big picture targets of the college football season. It's a week to focus on figuring out things on defense, because that was a very average Georgia Tech team that Miami played on Saturday with a wounded quarterback that couldn't throw the football. They were bringing in a freshman anytime they wanted to throw the ball, telegraphing exactly what they were doing. A makeshift game plan to use their quarterback as a quasi running back. And it made Miami's defense look really, really bad. Defensive coordinator Lance Guidry was unable to find an answer for this unconventional way that Georgia Tech was attacking offense. Miami was battling uphill for most of this game, and Cam Ward was unable to play the role of Superman for the first time this season. Ward was stripped of the ball, and yes, the offensive line failed him. There were only 3 guys rushing on the play, yet they still were able to get to Ward, knock the ball out from his hands, recover it, and end all of Miami's dreams of going unbeaten this season. So that was a team loss that we saw. There was some blame that went to the offense. There was certainly blame that went to the coaches. And there absolutely was blame that went to the defense that gave up 271 yards rushing to this Georgia Tech team that, like I said, was running a makeshift offense. All of these developments will give us so much to talk about tonight as we embark on this new edition of CaneSport Live. And hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, welcoming you again to your show, the People's Show, CaneSport Live. Like I said, it's your show. It's going to be driven by your participation. We will have our usual lineup of guests. And if you want to come on the show, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. All you have to do is send us an email at canesport@yahoo.com. And we will send you the link to the studio, and we'll bring you on the show in the order that you enter the studio. Matt Shodell is going to be joining me as usual tonight, and later on we'll also get a visit from the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. But let's get this thing going. I know everyone's got a lot on their mind, a lot that they'd like to talk about. And let me bring in Matt here, the illustrious one himself, with a refrigerator full of stone crabs and a human body full of frustration and aggravation. Because we made Matt go in the lab, as we usually do, and slice and dice the game up. And Matt did his usual illustrious job. And you guys can see that story on the CaneSport.com website today. But Matt, it was horrible enough in person up there in Atlanta to witness what happened to the Canes on Saturday. It had to be gruesome, breaking it down frame by frame the way you did afterwards.
Yeah, unlike you, I don't read off a teleprompter, so I'll just tell it like it is. This season it's been like a cronut. Have you ever had a cronut? It's a croissant donut. So at first it's like really good, and you're enjoying it and it's great. And then after a while you realize it's an abomination. And like this season began sweet. It was like, this was what we wanted. This is what we expected. And I've started, not that Pro Football Focus means much. I know fans hate it, but they do at least have a baseline. It's sort of like analytics, right? It sets a baseline for whatever you want it to be. And if you compare a player throughout the season by their metrics, which may or may not be good metrics, right? But at least you see, did they get better? Did they get worse? By the numbers that the same people are looking at week after week with the same player, play after play, running the same sort of plays, right? Because that's just what they do. And it's remarkable on defense. And I'm still working on the story at some point. We're going to run it this week. But almost every starter to a T has had their grades go down once ACC play started, and not just by a little. I mean, I have some of them that I've already written up here, like just the defensive line, for instance, or let's just take a look at one of them, right? So Tyler Barron, okay, he still leads the team with 38 pressures. He hasn't had a sack since the third game. He had 4.5 sacks then, okay. But against Georgia Tech, he had a 52.2 run defense grade and an overall grade of 48, right? In the first 4 games, he was above 70 in all of them. Since then he's had only one above 70. That was FSU. These are the grades. He has 5 missed tackles, 6 penalties. Ruben Bain, his first game back against Louisville, 82.9 grade, 10 quarterback pressures. The last 3 games, he has a total combined of 5 quarterback pressures in all of them and no grade above 70. He's gotten, technically he's gotten worse since that first game back. And it's just go across the board. Simeon Barrow, same thing. Akeem Mesero, same thing. They've gotten worse as the season's gone along, not better. And, coaches, they just stress, get better as the year goes along. And you think that they would when they don't. Fans want to say, oh, it's strength and conditioning. Oh, the players aren't good enough. Oh, it's on the coaches. What really tends to happen when something like this is en masse happening, it's not one player, it's the entire team it's happening to. What I find generally is you don't blame strength and conditioning. You don't even blame the coordinator, although the coordinator obviously deserves a lot of the blame for this. What you can blame is the opponents. It's almost like when you're pitching, when there's a rookie hitter and he's hitting 380, right? And then all of a sudden they realize he can't hit the low outside curveball. And all of a sudden his batting average goes to 190, right? That's what's happened. Other teams have figured out Lance Guidry's defense. They found ways to attack it. Jet sweeps, RPOs. The eye discipline on his defense is awful. The linebackers aren't fast enough. Mish Powell isn't fast enough to cover sideline to sideline. They can attack defensive tackles that want sacks right at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to dive out of the gaps. Ruben Bain's done it numerous times. Tyler Barron won't set the edge. I mean, they figured out how to run on Miami. Georgia Tech did. And that's a blueprint for everyone else. And everyone else before that had already seen how to attack Miami in the passing game because their corners aren't good enough, and Lance Guidry refuses to help them. His system calls for one-on-one coverage down the field for his corners, or his system doesn't work. So, yeah, you can blame Lance Guidry. Yeah, you can blame the players for not being good enough. Both of those things are true, but give credit where credit's due. They've figured out that Lance Guidry and this defense cannot hit the outside curveball. That's the truth. And nothing is going to fix it at this point except better personnel. And you can't get better personnel right now except for maybe Damari Brown coming back. Other than that, it is what it is. And the God complex on offense has been shattered, right? The belief, the strong belief was that Cam Ward would win every game no matter what. And I believed he was going to win the last game too. I was in the Cam Ward religion. I was whatever you want to call it. I was in the cult following of Cam Ward. I thought they were going to win, and I'm sure the players did too on that last drive. It was exactly what's been happening 3 prior games, and then when it didn't, it's a shock, right? It's a shock. And I said it on Good Morning CaneSport. It's like, can you imagine if you're a religious zealot and all your life you've believed in this one thing, that the world is flat, and then you find out it's round with indisputable proof? Like it's a mind-blowing shock. And now that they know they are not infallible. Unlike inflammable, infallible are opposites. Now they found out they're not infallible. They need to use this bye week to come together and not tear each other apart. And I'm very interested to see what happens, because these are, half the team is transfers that, how invested are they? They've been here for, many of them here for 1 year, and they're leaving in 2 or 3 games. Are they invested enough that they will work their tails off, not just to get better and to bring the team together, but to be leaders every second of every day for those guys that are down in the dumps, those guys that are complaining, those guys that are saying, I could play better than that starter. Why am I sitting here on the scout team? Why am I sitting here with the threes? To make sure that those players do not become cancers. Because when something like this happens, those players show up louder than ever. So this team faces a tremendous challenge over this quiet bye week when there's no availability for the media, thankfully for Lance Guidry. And
somebody keeps posting on this. We're asking tough questions.
Lance Guidry would have walked in with a smile, and he would have been joking, and the fans would have had his head on a platter. I'm telling you right now, it would have been ugly. So, thank God for Lance Guidry that he had no availability, because that's just his personality. He's happy-go-lucky. He just sort of shakes stuff off, unlike abnormal people like me.
That was a sobering little soliloquy you just gave us there.
They're 9-1. They're 9-1.
It's funny. I'm watching some of our guys.
9-1. You asked about the defense. So of course, when you ask me about the defense, how can I be happy? I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'm not going to lie and say it's fine. If you ask about the offense, I'd be very happy.
I'm watching some of our guys backstage, and Kane, he's sitting there like chugging vodka out of a milk carton. A gallon jug that used to hold milk. He's sitting there. There's vodka in there. Jake, I'm just waiting for him to start whipping out all his bottles of wine. And man, I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind having a glass myself right now. And of course, T-Dog is gonna expect us to be drinking Moscow Mules with him. Man, it was rough. Okay, and like listening to what you just said, like brings it all in perspective. And imagine being Mario Cristobal right now. Okay, your defense is getting worse by the second. Okay, as you just noted, your individual players are getting worse. The results are getting worse. You just got freaking physically pummeled for 271 yards. Mario builds his team on physicality. Okay, his defense just got pummeled on the ground for 271 yards by a coach, an offensive line coach that is kind of like a nemesis of his. For whatever reasons they have from their time in Alabama. This is not a good week to be Mario, and I'm sure he's made some people very uncomfortable and very miserable in the football office because he talked about pain and everybody owning it together, and there was a lot of that on Saturday. And listen, it's not because it cost them a whole hell of a lot. It did. They went from number 2 to number 12, but the bottom line is the same. If they win the ACC championship, they're still going to have a first-round bye in the college football playoff. So
you put them at number 2 in the Gary Ferman poll. I missed that poll. I thought they were number 4.
No, they would have been number 2 if they won.
They
the
would have
game.
been. Okay, they would have been. All right.
Yeah, they would have been number 2.
I thought you were saying they went from number 4 to number 12. I thought you said they went from number 2.
But they would have been 2.
They won.
Okay, I'm sorry if I misspoke, but that's what I meant. They would have been 2 if they won. Now they're 12. Yeah. But that's all irrelevant, which is great because if they win out, like I said, they go to the playoffs and they get a first round bye. But there's the optics of what we saw on Saturday that are the bigger problem. And Miami playing at the level that it played Saturday, coaching, I'll even include, I say offense too, defense. Offense had a lot of empty possessions in that game. Defense, playing at the level that they played at Saturday, they have no shot, okay? In the playoffs, it doesn't even matter. So they got a lot of work to do here this week and next week. I'm expecting a very angry, focused team against Wake Forest at 12 noon a week from Saturday.
Yeah. And by the way, just one quick thought, because fans don't remember yesterday. I certainly don't, but I do want to point this out because do you remember after the Duke game, the whole this is why I say don't listen to the mainstream media in sports world of Miami Hurricanes, because their whole message was, oh my God, the defense was so great in the second half of the Duke game. The defense, came together. Every question for every defensive player and the coaches was about how they figured it out in the second half and how great that was. And what did you figure out? And I kept telling people on our freaking show, and whoever would listen to me, which is like 2 people, and then nobody in my family, I kept saying, Duke was the reason the second half was good. Duke literally was terrible in the second half on offense. They overthrew a double-teamed receiver down the field right into Mish Bell's hands. They literally just dropped the ball when they were running, when the quarterback was running with it, and Miami picked it up. And the other ball bounced off a guy's chest right to a Miami player. That's 3 out of the 6 possessions of the second half. And now somehow the media at Miami is twisting that into, oh, Miami's figured it out. They got all these turnovers. They held them to 3 points in the second half. I kept saying it was a mirage. And like, you know, I hope those reporters are embarrassed who were asking those questions. It wasn't just one guy, because that was a joke before the Duke game. And I kept saying, like, the defense is what it is. Why media and some fans wanted to say, even before the season, remember, Gary, before the season, we're like, the secondary is a problem. Well, I was saying it. I think maybe you were not thinking it was as bad as I was, but I'm like, the secondary is a big problem.
No, we knew it was a problem.
And other people are like, they're fine. You know, you're so negative. Why are you talking about the secondary? They're going to be fine.
But you are.
And like until they're not. And now nobody even remembers that they were defending the secondary. I think the majority of Miami fans thought the secondary was going to be fine entering the season. And like, this is the difference between real news and fake news and social media and real media. Like, not that I'm always right or Gary's all right. It's opinions. But when people say to you things might not be so great, especially when they cover that team and they would rather say it's good, you think I want to be the guy saying something bad about Miami when I have to deal with Mario Cristobal? No. But I'm also not going to lie to people out there and be like, everything's going to be fine. The personnel's great. Mario's got it all together. They're going to be, you know, an amazing program. Like, no, that's not what I do. It's not what Gary does sometimes. And like, it is what it is at this point. You know, they're still 9-1. Yes, could they be 7-3? Absolutely. If Cam Ward was a second-round draft pick, would they be 6-4? Probably.
And then we're sitting here talking about a disaster.
But you know what? Yeah, and it's one player has saved the program. Is the truth. Like, it's okay to say that. This is not a perfect team. I've been saying that forever. It's an imperfect team.
There's wake-up calls.
But they're 9-1 and control their own destiny. So fans shouldn't be so upset. They should, and you know what? It's okay to have problems that can't be fixed, right? I got plenty in my own life that I know can't be fixed at this point in my life, and I deal with it. And Miami will deal with it too. And you just have to hope that they figure out a way to get through to the next day, like sometimes like I do.
Well, by now, you know, Greg's throwing things all over his man cave.
I was trying to talk until 9 o'clock, so I have to deal with Greg.
It's reality, man. And
don't put on Greg.
And you used the word personnel, which to me is the biggest issue facing Mario. Like, I hope that he realizes that he has to take a look. And this program has suffered from this for decades. You know?
And by the way, Jason C3PO, yes, I did say the defense might be better than people thought or that I thought. But I never said the secondary would be. I said because the front seven could get the pressure and da-da-da-da. I said maybe it'll hold up. And it hasn't.
Jason's already ragging on you in the comments, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. He's not wrong. I don't mind people pointing out stuff I've said in the past because I'll acknowledge I said it and I'll say why I said it. But at the same time, I thought the defense would be okay. I never said the secondary would be good. I said it was a question mark. I said the defense could be good because great defensive line. I kept stressing it could be the best defensive line in the ACC, which obviously was incorrect. I was wrong about that. I was right about the secondary.
Okay. But, you know, the thing is they have to look at the processes that they have internally in selecting personnel. Just still way too many mistakes being made. And I still say that the programs in the country that figure this out, they're spending $20 million on players. And it's going to be more than that when you start combining revenue sharing and NIL. You're spending 20, 30 million on players every year. You might want to invest $1 million in the best in-house scouting staff that you could possibly have and get some freaking experienced veteran. I would go NFL experienced guys in your building so that if you're missing,
hold on. Jason wants me to be the DC. Is that the Democratic committee? Didn't the Democrats lose? Why would I want to be on that committee, Jason? It makes no sense. Sorry, Gary, continue.
But, you know, if you could, let's say you're missing on 10 guys a year, if you can cut that to 6 or 7, you're going to be competing for the national title if you're doing that better than other schools. And I just think that it's a premium now in college football, unlike it's ever been before. And man, I'm hoping that Mario sees it like I see it, because still just, you know, way too many misses in recruiting that then show up during the season when it's too late. All right. Everyone's going stir crazy. So let's get to our guests. He's at work. He's got to go back to work. So let's start out with Kane. Kane.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, everything fine. Hey, man, don't do that shit no more. Don't put all that bad stuff up there, man. That shit had me going crazy. We look like elementary kids running around. Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna go here. Oh, wait a minute, who's going there? Man, we look bad as hell when you broke it down. Bad, bad, bad. But you know what? Let me ask y'all something. A real question. Very real. In the many years that we've been living and watching the Canes, have y'all ever seen us give up 50 plus yards every game to a running back? For 10 games straight, we done gave up big chunks of yards with running backs. Now, that front seven supposed to have been all this and that. How the hell we do this every game? Every game we give up massive rushing yards to a running back. Can you help me, Matt? Can you help me, Gary? I ain't going to be up here long. I'm just trying to figure out. I've never seen this since I've been a Cane fan.
It's personnel related. I mean, Matt just went through all the guys that you were counting on are playing worse week to week. It's unfathomable. And, you've invested in these guys, you're counting on them, and they're not coming through. And that means you've been burnt a little bit.
Well, I guess ain't too much more to say about that. Like I told y'all before, the sun's still rising. Everything's still in play. Yeah, the way the defense play, we won't go far. You're right, Gary. They got to do something to tighten up. The offense got to do their thing. Some of them damn play callings, like that 4th and 1. You gonna throw a pass? Did somebody change the play? You got these horses running the ball.
You wouldn't be complaining about it.
Huh?
If he completed it, you would not be bringing.
But we didn't complete it. Damn it, run the ball, y'all. Everybody talk about the horses we got, Gary. Damn that shit. Run that mug down their throat. The next year, 3rd and 1, they ran it down their throat. Coaches fail, players fail, everybody fail. And I'll say it again. If you play like you played against Florida, and I don't want to hear that bullshit, oh, Florida's not good. If the quarterback didn't get hurt in the Tennessee game, they had a chance. And if Lagway didn't get hurt in Georgia, they probably could have won. So that's BS. Play like you played against Florida. Play with a chip on your shoulder. If you're not, pack your bags, carry your ass in the season. Point blank period. You better be wait for us like somebody stole something. Attitude, no attitude. And if these damn boys getting cocky don't want to play, I don't care, Gary. Your favorite word is they ain't ready. Hell with it. At this point, I need somebody to do something. Because we look like elementary kids running around that don't know what the hell going on defense. The offense will be fine, like Matt said. But hey, great article, Matt. You do your thing, Gary. But all this fussing and shit, the hell with it. And these fake ass fans, we 9-1 and y'all crying. Like you said, if we were 73, they'll be saying fire Mario, right? And they saying it now after that game. Damn y'all fans, I'm sick of y'all. I hate y'all. 305, round it down. I got to get back to work. Peace.
All right, Kane. Hey, are you the Kane guy on the message boards, or somebody impersonating you?
That's me. It's always me.
All right.
It's me. And I'm sorry if I curse, but these fans just cry too much. And I'm right. Matt, you're right. Social media. I ain't on Facebook. I don't need none of that shit. You know my name? You know my number? Call me. Social media has fucked the world all up. I'm sorry.
Say your number, please. No.
Oh, no, I ain't going to say the number. I ain't worrying about these clowns. These clowns ain't going to mess with an OG. I'm an OG. They don't mess with me. Take it easy, Matt. Smile, damn it. Smile.
Hey, I'm an
All right, Kane. Thanks.
I'm an OG also. I'm an old guy. That's what it stands for, right? Old guy. You know what's interesting is, so fans have been harping on this whole, and of course Shannon Dawson talks about it, and every coach talks about it. Take what the defense gives you, right? 2 high safeties, run the ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Miami was putting 7 in the box. Somebody was posting what happened to the front 7. Miami was putting 7 in the box, and Georgia Tech was still running the ball successfully on Miami. When you can do that against a defense, you can do anything, because at that point, the defense has done everything it can to try and stop you from running, and you still are running on them. So that was really unfixable. Now, what caused that, which I guess is the answer to the person who, I can't remember who it was. 818 Cali Kane. I guess an area code's important to put in there, but I don't know. Like, I'm not going to tell you I have answers when I don't. I have no idea why putting 7 in the box and your safety's up tight and you still can't stop the run. That's not supposed to happen. They were getting overpowered. They were getting mauled. Ruben Bain was going inside when he should have kept in his gaps. Tyler Barron wasn't setting the edge. The defensive tackles were getting mauled. Wesley Basains was getting taken on in one-on-one blocks. If you watch the film this morning, you could see Jaden Harris literally on one goal line play almost got pushed from the 5-yard line or maybe the 1-yard line almost out the back of the end zone by a tight end. I mean, like, just obliterated. The physicality that is missing on this team is ridiculous. And the weird thing about it is it seems like when they can actually make a tackle, they're like trying to go, like pick your superhero. They're trying to do that. Who did Wolverine? The Wolverine. Who did Wolverine go against in the movie? The recent movie. Do you remember who it was?
I'm not.
You watch that stuff? All right. Well, whoever that guy is, it's like they're just trying to pummel, murder, whatever the word is, the guy when they actually can tackle them, which is great. But that physicality doesn't show up at any other time. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? When they get to a player and they're tackling him, it looks like they're trying to freaking kill him, which is great. But that's the only time. You don't see that passion and physicality show up any other time.
It sounds crazy at 9-1.
Deadpool, that's what it is. They're Deadpooling these guys when they get to them, but they're live pooling them before that. I don't know what the word is.
It sounds crazy at 9-1, but I wonder if they got to start considering some serious personnel changes on that defense because the guys that they're counting
I would recommend putting Jalen Alderman, having him play more reps.
Well. Chase Smith, I thought played very well.
He was okay. He didn't really.
I wonder where Justin Scott is.
Daquan Patterson was pretty lost out there. I'd rather use him than Jaden Harris or Powell, but he's so lost.
You saw they're both lost.
Yeah,
you can't win with either one of them.
No, but I liked I thought Alderman actually was decent. I was surprised at how good he looked.
Chase Smith was decent.
Chase Smith didn't impress me.
But I'm thinking more on the defensive line, where all these guys are underachieving.
Well, who are you going to put in? Freshmen? I mean,
I don't know who's ready. I don't know who's ready for more. Is Justin Scott ready now at this point in time for more?
Reps.
I don't know, but I mean, those guys got their butts kicked, Matt. I mean,
yeah, but like CJ Clark and Ahmad Moten are no better than the other guys on the inside. As a matter of fact, they're worse. I haven't seen any ends playing that are going to set the edge at all. You
never see the edge ever.
I wouldn't mind putting. They did put Messidor on the end a little bit, okay, but I wouldn't mind seeing Messidor just move to end. He wants to be there anyway.
100.
You tell him you tell Messidor if you set the edge every time on a run play, you will stay at end. Otherwise, you're moving back to tackle. That will give him all the motivation he needs to set the edge every single time. And then you could, maybe work Bain inside a little bit.
I would move Bain inside with Barrow. I would put
right
Matt, they got to consider this stuff.
That I think is a good idea.
I mean, that was a 5-alarm fire on Saturday on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. I can't imagine they're ignoring it. You got to make some of these adjustments. I mean, definitely Bain inside, Mesidor outside. Play Chase Smith and Alderman more. Kiko's having a rough season. Yeah. I don't know where Popo Aguirre fits in all this, but they have got to find some better options than what they're going to war with right now, or this season is going to blow up very, very quickly because the degree of difficulty is coming fast. So
they wanted, the mad rapper wants to know about Damari Brown. Mario said he might be back for Wake Forest.
Think he'll be back.
But he won't tell us anyway. And
he hinted very strongly he'll be back for Wake Forest.
He did, but he's not going to tell anybody. And then nobody that can report it publicly. And then Simeon Barrow, I'm not sure what his deal is right now. We'll find out.
He came back in the game. He should be fine. All right, let's go to Greg. Greg, what's up, man? Welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Oh, God.
G-Rag.
How you doing? So I was wrong on 12-0 or bust. But I was right about Trump in a landslide. Okay, let's go.
Which one would you rather have had, Greg?
You know what? Trump winning. Trump.
Oh my God! You're not even a Miami fan.
You ready? Okay. Mario's all about player acquisition. Is that correct? He's had 3 portal classes and 3 recruiting classes. That was the 4th loss by at least being a 9-point favorite since he's been at Miami. 2nd most in the country. So what is the problem? Is it his bad talent evaluation or is it the coaching? Okay.
The problem is that you're betting on games. You're jinxing it.
Yeah, I bet on a number of them I've won. Okay.
I'm
Let me
pointing
ask
at
you
the
a question.
evaluation, Greg. I'm all about the evaluation. I mean, I'm sorry, they have the budgets, they have the support, they have the ability to go get what they need. They're picking the wrong guys. That's evaluation.
Okay. I would say the only 4 free agents that are worth anything are Ward, Martinez, or Center, and Barrow. You can send Tyler Barron back to Tennessee. Why don't they bench that guy? They continue to play the guy.
Coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you.
No, but
He is
I'm with
playing like
Greg. I'm with
freshman
Greg.
year.
I'm with Greg. You bench guys during a game. You don't let it go the whole game like that. It costs you the game.
They did, but then they put him back in. But it's coming with that guy. It has to be. He is the most underachieving player on this team. I mean, this guy, before the year, they were saying that he would emerge as a first-round draft pick. You know, the way he's playing, he won't be a sixth-round draft pick. I mean, it's
He'll get drafted by the Army. That's about it.
No, he'll get drafted because he's got the size and the measurables, and somebody will think they can make him into a player. They'll be willing to gamble a sixth-round draft pick on it. But he's not a first-round draft pick. I'll tell you that. He has been horrendous since the FAMU game, and they don't have time for this anymore. Like that was a wake-up call on Saturday, and they got a pass when Pittsburgh lost. And I find it hard to believe Mario's going to take that pass and just come back status quo. I mean, they have to find some better answers than what they had out there Saturday. I hope they will.
They can't do the same old stuff constantly. You can't just do the same thing again. I mean, they've been doing the same stuff over and over again. And they were succeeding barely, and they didn't change enough. At some point, you have to treat one of your wins like a loss and make wholesale changes. But they waited until the actual loss, and that's on the coaches.
They're waiting till the loss, and we'll see if they make changes now. But, I mean, it was screaming at them, all the points they were giving up, the way they were falling behind in games. I mean, it was screaming at everybody, and, I mean, we thought it was all pass defense. And then the way they just got physically pummeled on Saturday was like, it was a shock.
Does Mish Powell run like a 5.2 in the 40?
Slow.
The guy is slow. He is so slow. It's ridiculous.
Well, remember, he's a former walk-on, right? So he never had those measurables in high school, but he's really smart. He's always
great kid too.
Was in the right places previously. But we knew in the spring he was going to have a problem because they were trying to put him at nickel and he couldn't cover anybody. Then they moved him to safety. After the spring, like they couldn't find a spot for him where they thought he'd actually would be good. But I agree with you. He's not nowhere near good enough.
Here's the problem that they have with Mish Powell. He's the guy with the experience and the football IQ to make all the calls back there. He's holding that secondary together. You're seeing, I mean, as well as it's being held together. I mean, you're seeing busts all over the place, guys flapping their arms. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They're confused. Mish Powell is the guy that is tasked with, trying to keep order back there, which means you got to live with his 4.6, 4.7 speed.
This is the slowest Miami team I've ever seen in my life.
I agree.
I've never seen anything. Why don't they play Cam Pruitt? That guy can run and go sideline to sideline. Do they keep Kiko in there because of his brother? Because they're scared they might lose him next year? He's terrible this year.
He's been bad. He's been struggling.
He's been atrocious.
But you have to understand that's their best linebacker. Even as atrocious as he's playing, that's still their best linebacker. He also makes the calls. So, benching Kiko, I'm not sure is an option. Kiko, we know, can play better. He just needs to do it. But I could see Alderman, Chase Smith getting, more reps. I mean, Basaint, as athletic as he is not making a massive impact on defense either.
2 tackles for loss, no sacks on the year for Basaint.
2 for loss the whole year.
2 for loss, no sacks. Yeah.
There you go. So he's not getting anything done. So I felt that Chase Smith and Alderman seem to earn some playing time the way they performed on Saturday. We'll see what happens. They obviously have to be looking at everything, and I hope they do come back with a little bit of a different look against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Okay, my last point is I looked at your list of the night. We have 19 NFL players right now, and the sad commentary is the best one might be 38-year-old Calais Campbell. What does that tell you about the Miami football program in the last 15 years?
We already knew that, Greg.
Yeah.
We know the program.
38-year-old guy is your best player in the NFL?
How many good years has Miami had in the last 22 years, Greg?
Not many. And all we've talked about on this show for the last 20 years is the lack of impact talent. I say it. I've been saying it every year like a broken record. And
okay, my last point.
Even with 2 years of Mario recruiting, where he's done Francis Manoa and now Cam Ward in the portal. He didn't recruit Restrepo, but 2 years of Mario recruiting, we still aren't seeing enough impact talent. And I'm sure that's very frustrating to him because nobody in the country works harder at it than him. Whoever is picking the players and telling him who they're recruiting and who they're investing in, because he can't do everything himself, is failing him and the program right now. They need to address it. They had Alonzo Highsmith in the building. They should have put together. He knows everybody in the National Football League. They should have put together a personnel department with NFLs. I'm not talking about guys pretending to be evaluators. I'm talking about guys who have done it for 10 years, 15 years at the highest level. They should have gotten 3 or 4 of those guys, brought them into the program, invested $1 million in the scouting division of the football program, they should be doing a better job of identifying the players that they're recruiting. And that's where they're really failing. In my opinion, and I know I'm probably pissing somebody off right now, but this is what I keep seeing year after year after year. This program does not have impact players. Okay, it does not have one player on defense that is going to get drafted on day 1 or day 2 of the NFL draft. That is unacceptable, and I gotta believe it's unacceptable to Mario, and I hope he addresses it. It should have been addressed from the beginning. I mean. It's hard to see this year after year after year. They have the budget to get the best players in the United States, and they got to do a better job of picking the players.
Hey, can I point something out too, which I think maybe hasn't been brought up as much, but I think it could be true. So you remember back when Frank Ponce was the quarterback's coach and Josh Gaddis was the offensive coordinator, and they really screwed up that quarterback's room because they were both telling the quarterbacks different things. And Miami now has hired so many defensive assistants, and these guys are allowed on the practice field all the time now. That's the new rule. I'm feeling these defensive players are hearing a lot of different things from a lot of different people and are very confused because that's what it looks like to me. And I know people aren't mentioning that, but it seems like common sense to me. They're not getting one consistent message on this is what you do and here's when you do it. I have a feeling they're getting pulled in all different directions by these people who've been hired by Mario. There's 1 million defensive assistants and offensive assistants now. And those people have to feel like they have a role to play, and there's a reason they're on the practice field. And I just feel like they're giving people mixed messages because these guys out on the field look like they're getting told different things at different times to do in different ways. That's a possible explanation if you don't want to just blame the defense coordinator and the players.
Okay, last point. Why, if we knew that Haynes King couldn't throw more than 5 yards, why wouldn't you put 8 in the box? And when that guy, the other kid came in, why didn't we blitz that kid? We let him sit back there and pick us apart. It's ridiculous. Guidry should be sent back to the bayou and hang out with James Carville. I'll see you later. Have a good night.
All right, Greg. The clues were there in pregame warmups, Matt. I was watching pregame warmup, and Haynes King didn't participate.
Yeah, he didn't throw a pass of more than 9 yards the entire game.
No.
I looked at the numbers. I don't think he threw a pass actually more than 5 yards. I mean, he just thrown little stuff. Whenever they wanted to throw it down the field, they took him out of the game. He could not throw. Miami knew he could not throw.
He went 6 for 6 for 32 yards. But
they knew he couldn't throw, but they couldn't stop the run. I mean,
they didn't even have him in the pregame warmups.
Right. He was a game time decision. I understand.
No, they knew he was playing.
He ran 20 times.
What I'm saying is, when they were warming up for the game, Georgia Tech, he was not involved.
Right.
They want.
He can't throw.
Well, there was no right. There was no reason to have him out there, and I'm guessing they wanted Miami to think that he wasn't playing, and then they come out with this crazy makeshift game plan that obviously Lance Guidry wasn't prepared for. And listen, kudos to Brent Key and his staff. I mean, they pulled it off, man. I mean, they somehow managed to get out of there with the victory, and for those guys, that's their accomplishment of the year. I mean, they're playing with a freshman kid that they're platooning in with a hurt quarterback, and they're beating the crap out of the Miami Hurricanes, who are number 4 in the country, about to become number 2, going, to the ACC title game, which Georgia Tech is not, going to the college football playoff, which Georgia Tech is not, and they beat the living snot out of them, and it was scary. It was scary to watch because now you just don't know what you really have. What is the real Miami Hurricane football team in 2024? And like Matt says, I mean, the clues were all there in all those other weeks. Just Cam Ward played Superman. It's interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. All right, let's go to BK Hurricane. Welcome back. Wake up, my man. Welcome back to CaneSport Live.
I'm up, Gary. What's up? What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, BK.
What you got for us this week?
Hey, Gary, I was a little mad at you on the forum.
What'd I do?
Oh, well, you said 8 to 10 transfers. That number went up drastically just on the defensive side of the ball. Just
Agreed.
if Damari Brown doesn't play at all this year, it's going to be ugly with the amount of transfers we're going to take in the secondary.
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible. It is literally going to be horrible. And we're going to have to pay the premium because DB and defensive tackle, you're going to pay premium prices for those two positions.
But here's the thing, BK. I agree with you, but you got to be paying for the right guys. Money, spending paper money that is all well and good and fun. But if you're picking the wrong guys to spend it on, and there's been a lot of that the last few years, like it's not doing anything for you. And they had a generational They have a generational quarterback here this year. I know he screwed up a little bit at times, but this kid's a rare talent, and it's if the season gets derailed, it's going to be because you're just not getting good enough performances from the guys you were counting on.
I mean, I could assure you, if for whatever reason we don't make the playoffs, you're going to see a Florida State guys just bailing out, protecting themselves for the draft. They're going to bail out, and it's going to be ugly.
Maybe they already are.
Yeah. We all knew that they were.
I mean, how do you explain Tyler Barron's decline? He played a really good week 1. He had a couple sacks against FAMU and has not been heard from since.
For a hot second, I just thought Tyler Barron was just being selfish, and he was just doing whatever he wanted on the field. But the more and more I watched the game, I'm like, no, he's not doing whatever he wants. The
never sets the edge.
Are horrible.
Never sets the edge. Maybe he's trying not to get hurt. I don't know, but he has destroyed his draft prospects.
Can I tell you, there's certain types of people that they're not going to work out, right? Guys who recommit, decommit. Those guys are mentally fragile. This is a guy who went to 3 different programs in a 6-month period. There's something not connected in the circuits correctly when you do that. And you knew there was going to be a problem with that. It wasn't going to be consistent. Guys like that just are not going to be consistent, in my opinion.
Listen, it was suspect when he left Tennessee to come to Miami.
Well, he didn't.
He was a contributor at Tennessee.
He left Tennessee and went to Louisville.
And then right.
Without even playing.
And then Miami.
Yes.
So
Matt, you're G-Nice is you're his idol, and you're my idol too because you just made a great point.
What was the point?
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
It's a great point.
All right.
Good, BK.
It was just real suspect to me. But other than that, like I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank the Kool-Aid. I believe that this defense was like going to be this great defense with this vaunted front seven that was going to be unstoppable. But it's not looking good. If in this next two games we're still seeing Wesley and Kiko and all these guys, it's really not looking good for us in the offseason. It's really not. Because that means the people we have on the team can't beat out guys that are just incapable of
That are playing like
producing in a
crap.
game.
That are playing like
Right,
crap.
that are playing like crap.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all.
Chase Smith played a great game.
He did. He looked like he was. So now, Jason says that it's all the defensive coaching. I mean, obviously Lance Guidry's having some problems, but I'm not convinced it's all the coaching. I don't see Lance Guidry running his schemes out there. I don't see any blitzing, and that means he's afraid to do it because he knows they can't hold up behind, on the backside.
But the one thing that's bothering me the most is, did the coaches not know this in the spring?
Yeah, I say that all
They
the
didn't
time.
see all these deficiencies in the
I don't
spring.
think they did. I don't think
you
they did.
you have hit the nail on the head, because every year that Miami's been underperformed, I've said the exact same thing. I said, how do they not understand coaching these guys themselves in the spring and fall? But the answer is in itself the problem, because the answer is they're practicing against themselves, and coaches always tend to take a beneficial view of their own players.
Yes.
So if they think that the guy that they recruited is amazing, and the guy's playing against some guys who maybe aren't that great, or playing next to some guys who aren't any faster, stronger, bigger than they are, they don't see the discrepancy, right? If so-and-so, if X cornerback looks like he's running just as fast and doing the same coverages as cornerback Y and cornerback Z and cornerback H, and all four of them just happen to be very average, so they make it themselves all look like either they're great or all terrible or all mediocre, the coaches assume they're all great. That's just how coaches' minds work. But it turns out they're all bad.
Let me throw something else out. 1 second, BK. One other thing that, as an extension of that, is when they're out there on the practice field in the spring and in the summer and in the fall, they're getting a false sense of things because they know each other's plays.
That too.
They know the schemes. A lot of it is scripted. The defense. I mean, how many times?
And they don't even tackle to the ground in the spring.
They don't tackle to the ground, but I mean, they know the route trees. Like they know what the plays are before the plays are run.
And they know what the players, and they know the opponent's moves over and over again and how they execute them.
Yeah.
So there's a shock factor in real games.
I saw a lot of practice over the course of the time, and I'll tell you right now, there were days out there where the defense owned the practice field. Okay, we're talking about the best offense in the country right now. Okay, and I'm telling you, there were days at practice where the defense was dominating this offense. Swear to God, I'm not bullshitting you.
That's
and
true.
It's like they didn't. I don't think they had a feel that these guys were going to struggle to the level that they've struggled. I mean, they knew their secondary was challenged, but they don't know that Damari Brown's going to get hurt. They don't know that Judeus Richard's going to get hurt. They don't know that Jaden Harris is going to flame out as much as he has. They felt pretty good about Mish Powell. They knew he was struggling to cover Restrepo, but you see the season that Restrepo's having, and then they put him back at safety when they, instead of playing him as the slot corner. And, I think they felt good. He's got a lot of football experience, a lot of football smarts. He's making the calls. I think they've been blindsided by the way this defense has played. I don't think, everyone's jumping on the coaches, and I get it. And maybe they should have known it was going to get, pummeled week after week the way they have since they started ACC play. But I don't believe they did. I really don't. I believe they had a false sense of security with these guys. And remember, Ruben Bain got hurt week 1. That didn't help the situation. But I think they had a little bit of a false sense of security with these guys and expected them to be playing better than what they are, especially a guy like Tyler Barron that that they went out and had to pursue hard from an NIL standpoint and stuff, and he hasn't delivered for them, and it's hurting. The whole thing is hurting them, but I do think the coaches were blindsided.
And by the way, fans are mad not at the defense, but it's because the offense is so good, and all the defense had to be was middle of the pack in the ACC. That's all they had to be. And Miami would be undefeated and a possible playoff, even national champion.
They still are. They're 9-1, and everything's the same, Matt.
Correct, but they're not a middle of the road ACC defense. That's why people are so upset, because if they just were average, just be average, and then they could win everything. That's what's disappointing the most.
Right, real quickly, right? That I think this defensive coaching staff should have known early on that there was serious issues with this defense when a 3-star freshman comes in and takes a cornerback spot from somebody.
No, that's
a
not
red
fair.
shirt.
That's not fair.
Oh,
He's great.
no,
He is great.
Gary, I know it's not fair, but it's also not common. It's also not common for a freshman out of high school to come into a big time school like Miami. Let's take it for what it is. To start
the best corner on the team by far.
That would never happen in Georgia. It would never happen at Ohio State. It would never happen in Alabama.
Wasn't even at spring practice. Came in the summer and walked out there.
Came in the summer.
But in his defense, he is really good. He
is really good. Yeah. But that just goes to show you what we had on the team for a 3-star freshman to come in the summertime and take somebody's job.
It goes back to the evaluation. That's what I'm talking about.
That should never happen. Granted, OJ Frederick is awesome. I love the kid. But a 3-star freshman comes in the summertime and takes somebody's job.
Takes everybody's job, yeah.
That doesn't happen often. OJ Frederick, it's a once in every 10-year type kid. There's a 3-star is going to come into a big time school and take over a cornerback position from somebody.
I mean, it does happen. It's happened at Miami. I remember they had 2 freshman starters at nickel, and
it always happens at Miami.
Yeah, so it's not unusual. That's what I'm saying. It's not that unusual.
It only happens at Miami. It only happens here.
It's all about player evaluation, man.
It only happens here.
Mario's got to address that. Has to.
You had a redshirt freshman taking a starting spot, and you had a true freshman taking the other starting spot. That's bad news. It's bad news. It's bad news. How long did it take for our who's our best cornerback you could think of in a long time? I'm gonna even throw a name out there that's even crazy. Corn Elder. He didn't even start off as a cornerback. He was on a team a few years and developed into a serviceable, great cornerback for the University of Miami. Took him years to do. Yeah. This guy comes out of high school and he's taking spots from people.
And it's not even close, by the way, BK. It's not even close. He is so far and away the best.
He's by far the best player on defense right now.
Not even close. I agree. I mean, which is good because he was recruited.
It's great for us.
Got him. Yeah.
His NIL deal is going to be amazing at the end of this year. It's great for us.
And you know how they
go to any team in the country and start.
You know how they found him? He was covering Hakeem Williams in a high school game, and everyone was high on Hakeem Williams. Miami was recruiting him. Florida State was recruiting him. He ends up going to Florida State, whatever. OJ Frederick shut Hakeem Williams down like he was nothing, and that's when he got on the radar. Was when they were watching film of Hakeem Williams and they noticed OJ Frederick, who I believe was at Deerfield at the time. I don't think he was at St. Thomas yet. And that's how they found OJ Frederick. And it's evaluation, man. Evaluation.
Well, I just hope they give some of these guys a chance. Wake Forest, hopefully, Wake Forest doesn't pull a Georgia Tech and run to the outside.
Wake Forest has actually a decent offense, but
no, they're pretty good offense.
They have the worst passing defense in the country. I mean, Cam Ward, if he needs to throw for 2,000 yards, he'll throw for 2,000 yards. I mean, they're really bad on defense. So,
all right, thanks a lot, guys. One last thing.
Yeah.
Hold on, Gary. One last thing. Is Chris Johnson the slowest, fastest guy you've ever seen in your life?
I think they need to give him more carries on offense, quite honestly.
I don't see
him like he's jogging. He's the slowest, fastest guy I've ever seen.
I know, but he's not exactly having anywhere to really go when he gets a couple kickoff returns a game if the kicker isn't kicking it out of the end zone. And
There's no acceleration though, Gary.
no,
He's just out there jogging.
he's not,
He doesn't want to be here.
He's not hitting it like you need to, but I'm not sure there's been anything to hit. I haven't seen anything that he missed. Let's put it that way.
You know what annoys me, by the way, is every time Ray Joseph returns a punt, he gets very frustrated. Like you can visibly sense his frustration. Every single punt return he doesn't break. And that's like infectious. Like I just want these guys to go about their business, do their job professionally, and not be upset at personal things not happening for them. Like this whole team needs to have an attitude and a mindset that mirrors what Mario Cristobal wants, which is it's about the team. You know, you can't be upset at your role. You can't be upset that you think you're this great player and you're only getting a chance on punt return and I just got tackled on the punt return after a 2-yard gain and you slam your fist in the ground, like just get up and go to the sideline, celebrate the good plays. Don't be upset about the bad plays because that rubs off on other people,
I'll tell you something else about him. He's starting to make bad decisions because he's pressing to do something.
That's the other thing that happens to get frustrated. You can't let yourself get
caught
frustrated.
A punt the other day that he should have fair caught it. And he tried to return it and he got killed. And let me tell you something, they're lucky that he held on to the ball.
These guys need to play smart and not play selfish, period. And then maybe it'll get a little bit better. That'll help. That'll be a first step, but on defense and special teams.
Yeah. All right, BK.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
No show next week, but we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right.
Yep. Let's see. George Zuniga, he says the DC needs to go. Man, listen, Lance Guidry struggled the other day, no argument. I'm not sure you can pin this entire thing on Lance Guidry. And I don't know what's going to happen, what Mario's going to decide about this and all that. But I don't see the personnel out there to run Lance Guidry's defense. No. And he has not been running his defense. His defense is predicated on attacking, on pressure, on bringing blitzes from everywhere.
What does a good coordinator do, Gary? They tailor what they do to their personnel. He cannot do that, which is by definition.
Well, but in a way, that is what he's doing, Matt. That might be what he's doing. Well, we don't see him running Lance Guidry schemes that got him the job.
He's running base. This past game, he ran base 4-3 stuff.
He's running base.
There's no innovation within the personnel packages that he has. Like you can't just say, "Oh, I give up on everything I know."
Well, right or wrong, he clearly doesn't
have to do things within it that work against that specific team. He made no adjustments. The second play of the third quarter was a jet sweep, just like the previous half. They kept doing it. It broke free again. I mean, there was nothing that he was able to communicate to his guys to fix the defense. The whole season on defense to me has been a disaster. And there's nobody to blame except for Lance Guidry because I think I know for a fact that there's talent on the defensive line. You can't convince me that Ruben Bain's all of a sudden a bad player. You can't convince me that a healthy Akeem Messidor, who dominated camp to the point that they couldn't even put him in practices sometimes, is a bad player. You can't convince me that Simeon Barrow, who has been the best defensive player all year, is not a guy who can make plays in the front line. And I think Tyler Barron, if they can, convince him somehow, maybe pay him an extra $100,000 to set the edge every time he sets the edge, then I think it's at the edge. You can't convince me that Francisco Mauigoa is worse this year than he was last year because of something Francisco did to himself. You can't convince me that Wesley Bissainthe is the same, inconsistent player he was last year because he should be better. And we thought he was going to be better, and he looked better at the start of the season. They get Mish Powell, who played safety for a national championship game team at Washington, who all of a sudden Lance Guidry can't figure out what to do with him correctly. Jaden Harris, who's the fastest player on defense, looks like he's jogging half the time and going to the wrong gaps. Is that on Jaden Harris? I don't know. And then you have Darryl Porter, who was supposed to be this really, really good shutdown cornerback last year as a starter, coming back. And he's the worst cornerback on the team and one of the worst cornerbacks statistically in the ACC. You got a great freshman cornerback in O.J. Frederick. So you tell me where the weaknesses are personnel-wise. Everyone wants to say, blame the personnel, blame the personnel. I just listed every single starter. And none of them are terrible when you just look at them on face value or what they've done before or what their measurables are. So therefore, ergo, based on my scientific data, it's freaking Lance Guidry. There's no other explanation. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Listen, when you put it in the terms that you just put it in, then George Zuniga is a genius. He's right. God, man, I don't know. I struggle, man. It's the easiest thing in the world is to say the coach needs to be fired. You know, if I saw
That's not
Lance
true. It's
Guidry
easy to say when
running,
players aren't good enough, but these players have shown in the past they are good enough. Now, just they're not this year. It's crazy.
now what was
I've
the
never
record?
seen anything like
What
it
was
in
last
math.
year's record? What was last year's record?
For the Miami record?
Yeah,
You know, 7-5. You're talking about?
Yeah.
So
so they were basically a 500 team last year.
last year, the offense was. You do know the offense was a problem last year, right? Not the defense. Like I don't understand why you're conflating these two
What
seasons.
I'm saying is this is not a team that's won at a high level.
The defense was decent last year.
I understand. I'm just
And
saying,
they had a lot of guys coming back.
I'm just saying, and I hear you, and you just went through the whole defense, and you're not wrong, but I don't see this guy running what got him the job. Okay, and that tells me that he knows he has deficiencies that he's trying to cover up, because if he runs his schemes, he's exposing himself to big plays.
Agree.
Constantly.
He can't run his team.
So I have a hard time firing a coach if that's the hand he's dealt.
You do know this is the same guy who said he knows every scheme there is from when he coached high school, right? He doesn't just have one scheme. You do know that, right? Like he did a 3-3 stack last year. He's done other things besides, he's not lining up 7 guys at the line anymore and then having everybody run willy-nilly all over the place at the snap, which I understand he can't do that because these guys just don't understand what the hell's going on. But like he could do something besides a base 4-3, he could do something besides twisting every time with the defense ends going inside and leaving huge gaps for the other team to run through. I just don't understand some of the stuff he's calling, even in clear run situations. He's literally running stuff like that. He's trying to get to the quarterback for sacks when they're not even trying to throw the ball, and that's the stuff I don't understand. Conceptually, why he's doing that. It should have been pure stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. It looked like they were like trying to do all sorts of twists and stunts and get to the quarterback, when really what they should have been doing, and they did it one play that I saw out of all the film I watched, is where they sort of wait for the RPO to develop, right? Instead of crashing immediately to just guessing where it might go. You wait, you see where the ball's going, then you react. Because the eye discipline on this team was awful in that game. That was the one thing that really, time after time, was never fixed. I mean, you saw guys literally at one point on a goal line play, Akeem Messidor has a point-blank tackle for a loss on a quarterback keeper, but he runs to the running back and tackles him. But the quarterback has the ball and runs in the 5-yard touchdown, and Mish Powell's too slow to come over to the corner in time. It was stuff like that where you just have to hesitate for just a split second. Don't stop and just wait, but you're still moving your feet. You're still in that athletic posture. And then as soon as you know where the ball's going, bam! That's how you stop this stuff. But they're just diving willy-nilly in directions where they're guessing it might be going. And there's no coaching in terms of how to do eye discipline correctly. It's very frustrating to watch on film, and it's very frustrating to watch in games. And I'm just not sure it's fixable after 10 games. I can't imagine it is.
All right. You okay? Stick around for T-Dog?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Let's go to T-Dog. What's up, my man? How you doing this week?
What's going on, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first off, what did I tell your ass, Ferman, before the season started? You were going to miss Cam Kitchens. Didn't I tell you that? And you told me the defense is going to be better because they're going to make fewer busts, be more.
Thank you, T-Dog. T-Dog's on the Matt Shodell train.
Oh, yes, sir. Be more disciplined. No, T-Dog's on his own train on this one, damn it. Because I said this during this season last year when Gary was
No. Anything anti-Gary Ferman is on my train.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you're talking about the topic. I see what you're saying. You're just saying in general. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Listen, I was saying this during this season.
You absolutely did.
Especially after the Georgia Tech game when you were slamming him, rightfully so, because that was a bonehead. He was being selfish. But I kept telling you, you're going to miss, bro. I watch too much football. You don't get 6 interceptions in a season if you're not a good player, bro. That just does not happen. Sauce Gardner didn't have 6 interceptions.
He is a good player. He's playing for the Los Angeles Rams now, okay? But he's not good in coverage, and he's getting exposed like crazy in coverage in the NFL. Not surprising. He gambled like crazy here. In over 2 years, I watched him single-handedly contribute greatly to 4 losses, and that's why I had the opinion I had. And I was hoping that Mish Powell coming in from the national championship Washington Huskies would stabilize the safety position, and it looked like he had in practice. I'm telling you, T-Dog, if you had seen practice,
you just got through telling me how in practice you see tendencies, so it shouldn't matter, bro. What are we seeing in the game?
Well, what I said was that they know the offense, they know the routes before they start.
Right,
so makes a big difference in how you cover.
So you gotta take those results in practice with a grain of salt, is what I'm saying. All I know is
I agree, and I didn't do that.
Right.
Before the season, I didn't do that. I didn't take it with a grain of salt. I thought you were going to be pretty good at safety.
I'll take Cam's selfishness all day, every day, because what you need,
because it's costing you games too.
No. I'm gonna tell you why. Why this year when it cost you games, because you got Cam Ward on the other side. The reason why it was costing you games last year is because you had TVD sorry ass. Yeah. He couldn't score points. There were times where the offense didn't even score in quarters, bro. They were inept. If you add those interceptions this year, getting Cam the ball back all those additional times, are you kidding me? This offense would be, it's already ridiculous. It will be on like greatest show on turf type offense.
Listen, I agree with you, Thaddeus Dog, but I will point out one thing. Mish Powell has 4 interceptions. He could wind up with 6. So let's not just fixate on the number, because Cam Kinchens is way better than Mish Powell. It's not even
how many pick sixes does Mish Powell have?
18.
Did you see the 2 interceptions? And again, I love Cam Kinchens. I love Cam Kinchens. Okay, but I can't let that cloud what I was saying at the time, which was he was gambling way too much. He was busting his coverages way too much, and he gave up big plays as much as he made them.
Watch this. You know who Cam Kinchens is? He's Cam Ward on defense. He gambles.
Come on, man.
No, seriously.
I like that.
Think about what I'm saying. He has an unorthodox defensive way of playing defense. He gambles. Same thing as Cam Ward. He holds the ball sometimes way too long. He throws across the field. He gambles. But you will take that aggression all day, every day, because you know what you get? 6 interceptions or 5 interceptions back-to-back seasons. All-American type performances, whether you like to call him an All-American or not. Nobody else in the country is doing that. You need that. That moves the needle, Ferman, in football. That moves the needle. That makes offensive coordinators say, damn, what I have to plan for this guy. That stresses an offense. There's nobody, man, that Georgia Tech, bro, I was at the game. Matter of fact, my son, we were sitting next to Cam Ward's mom. I think I put the picture on the message board. My son took a picture with Cam Ward's mom. Bro, we were sitting right there, and I'm looking like, what is going on? Like, that the Georgia Tech offense was not stressed at all about our defense, bro, at all.
Right, like when's the last time you saw a safety come out of nowhere and get an interception, right? Because they recognized the playoff film and they knew where it was going before it was snapped, or because they took a chance because they could see the quarterback looking at this guy or that guy, or they know he loves throwing to this guy or that guy. It's a system right now that is so fixated on you be here, you be there. It's like the D'Onofrio, right? D'Onofrio literally was telling players, don't make the play. Your job is to let someone else make a play.
Correct.
You can't tell a football player that.
You cannot do that. You have to be instinctual. I'll take instincts all day, every day over being disciplined, because shit breaks down on football fields all the time. And then how do you react to that? I want the guys that's why Cam Ward is so special, because stuff breaks down. Sometimes he makes them break down, but stuff breaks down and then he reacts well to that. He survives in chaos. And I want that on defense. Right now, our defense is lost. One thing I want to say about the offense, though, I think we should run more up-tempo offense. I noticed that when we have to have it, we are unstoppable. That drive where he hit, going back to the Georgia Tech game, when he hit Restrepo for the touchdown.
Disagree wholeheartedly, because I'm actually making an argument in a column I'm going to write that this team needs to run the ball and control the clock way more, because the more reps you put this defense on the field for with no depth, the more backups have to play, the more mistakes will happen, and the more the other team's going to score 30 points every damn game.
You need to go all in with your chips on the offense at this point, because the defense is what they are.
Offense is going to score anyway, Tito.
No, they're not.
Really good. Yes, they are.
Did they look like that against Georgia Tech? No. I think you need to go all in. You need to change your
run.
But
you want to know what screwed up Georgia Tech, T-Dog? 3 bubble screens that Shannon Dawson called. They were moving the ball at will on those drives. And he called bubble screens 3 times, and they all got blown up, and it put them in bad down and distance situations on third down.
Do you know why he called those, by the way? Because he doesn't trust Cam Ward anymore. That's why he calls those. He's seen one too many passes, because Cam Ward was getting pressured by Georgia Tech, And he kept rolling out and freelancing and not running the offense. And that freaks out coordinators, and they just want to run a play they know is not going to be that maybe it'll hit. They know it won't be intercepted. They know Cam Ward's not going to do anything crazy because it's a bam, quick hitter. That's why he's calling that crap, and he's got to get out of doing that and just let Cam Ward run the Cam Ward offense.
The other reason why I want to run up tempo is because it guarantees us more possessions, offensive possessions. Yes, the defense is going to get back on the field sooner. I get that, but the defense sucks anyway. We've already established that. There's nothing we can fucking do about the defense.
If the defense is playing 80 reps and the starters are this bad, I'd hate to see the 20 to 30 reps the second teamers and third teamers have to pick up, T-Dog.
I'd rather play fresh. So you might as well let the freshmen get some playing time now so they'll be ready next year so that you're not in this position again next year.
That's a different argument.
If we win these 2 games, we're in the ACC championship game.
Hey,
that's a different argument.
The defense, with the guys you're playing now, the defense isn't stopping anybody. Put your freshmen out there. They're not going to stop anybody, but they're going to get playing time. So then next year, you're not saying, "Damn, I got a whole bunch of guys with no experience. Let me go in the portal and get some." No, it's a cycle, bro.
You can't do that at 9-1. If you're 6-3, I agree.
If you're 6-3, yes, I agree with Matt.
If it costs you a game, you'd be like, "Why'd they put in the freshmen? They were terrible."
No.
You got to beat Wake Forest and Syracuse to go to the ACC title game. You've never won the league, T-Dog.
Horrible.
So your argument is the freshman will be better than the guys they're playing.
Yeah, and if they make mistakes, oh well, give them the experience while they make these.
I don't disagree with the 100-mile wrong direction argument, but these freshmen are just not ready.
These guys are checked out, man. Like y'all said earlier, these guys are checked out for whatever selfish reason. They are checked out. This defense is horrible.
It is.
You want to see it next game.
But these are not meaningless football games coming up.
You're not this deep into the season that all of a sudden I'm just going to change how I'm playing. No, this is the defense is what it is. The offense is how it is.
So you're saying
how he is as a coordinator, he ain't going to change either. We never run the ball to the outside. What is he waiting on?
See, here's the thing. We're not the coaches, right? You have to believe at some point that the $10 million man who can jump over tall buildings in a single bound can recognize if a freshman is better than a senior or even close to as good as a senior. If Mario Cristobal and that coaching staff who's getting paid all this freaking money don't understand that this freshman's better than that guy who's playing, then I'm for just starting a 7-on-7 league, and let's just all root for that because it just doesn't make any sense at that point.
Anyway, I'm gonna let you go, Matt, because I know we've taken you over your time, but I appreciate you staying on for me.
All right, T-Dog. Thanks, man. Thanks for being part of the show.
And listen, I'm the one who's been arguing for freshmen to play, but I don't want them playing in meaningful reps. I want them playing earlier in the year, and then you get a sense for like, hey, Justin Scott actually is a really good player, even though he needs another 20 pounds of muscle, And I just don't feel, and Cole McConaughey and guys like that, I don't feel like they got enough reps in those early first 4 games. I think the coaches did them a big disservice in games you're going to win. Let them play in the first half a little bit, Let them play in the first half. But they never did.
One more word with you.
Hey, Matt, thanks for stealing my point about too many people on defense, man, and that the message is getting lost in translation. Thanks for stealing my point. All right.
That's what I do. I'm the idea thief.
To me all the time, T-Dog. Does it to me all the time.
I'm the idea thief. But they had a chance those first 4 games to really have put them in position to do what T-Dog wants now, but now it's too late in my opinion,
Yeah, well, there is no question. Playing all the freshmen now at 9-1, 2 wins away from the ACC title game, and then another win away from making the college football playoff and playing for the national title.
Hey, what did
enough to win the national title?
What did T-Dog have to do? How much did he have to gesticulate to get you to put him back on the screen a minute ago? What was he doing?
He was flapping his arms. He's like, I want one more piece of that. All right, Matt, time to let you go to bed. Parting shot.
Parting shot?
Yeah.
Listen, this has been such a negative show. It's almost too negative for me, which is saying something. The team's 9-1, okay? They lost to Mario Cristobal's Utah. That's what Georgia Tech is now. It's his Utah, right? Every coach has a team that they struggle with. Just ask Bobby Bowden. That game's over with. Miami still controls its own destiny. Fans should not be, screaming and calling for, craziness to happen yet. If they lose to Wake Forest or if they lose to Syracuse, then I agree, especially if it's defensive, blow up a lot of that stuff, okay? 100%. Need new personnel. And, we'll talk about this some other show, but I'm really, as Stephen Wagner would say, interested in what's going to happen moving forward to next season, because after watching this defense, man, I think they're going to take another double digits in the portal. And like, I don't like it. I don't know yet if the ACC is going to go to 105 or 85 scholarships. But if it's still at 85, I think I added up the other day, they have, I think it's 20.
It would be 17. It would be at least 17 cuts if that's the case.
Yeah, well, they have 20 transfers on the current roster. Okay, that's a quarter of this roster, and half the starters are transfers. They're not Mario's guys. And at some point, this team has to become Mario's recruits being developed. If he can't recruit and then develop those recruits, well, we know he can recruit. If he can't develop those recruits and guys just keep getting worse, like what we've seen this season, then what's the point of doing this? What's the point of being a Miami fan and a Miami reporter who wants to cover a good team?
Gotta pick the right guys, man.
Just like the people who want Trump to do well, and I think everybody does at this point, right? Because we want the country to do well. Like, you just get behind those guys, even though you think Guidry should be fired. Get behind them for 2 more games and hope it works out. No matter who you voted for, you want things to work out for everybody. So let's hope it all works out. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, independent like myself, libertarian, Gary Fermanite, like whatever you are, we want it to go right. And that's why we're Miami Hurricanes fans. We all want it to work out.
Listen, if you're a 5-star and you can't play and you're commanding, I'm not even going to say what the numbers are because it's like it'll like make you puke. But if you can't play, there's no point in recruiting that 5-star. So like, and this has happened to them on several occasions over the last few years. And they have to improve the systems that they have to pick the players they're recruiting. Mario will recruit them. Mario will land players. He's probably the best recruiting head coach in the country.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to be putting them on the right guys. That's
Hey, the new CFP rankings have Miami 9th. You saw that?
I haven't seen them, but yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. If
we're ahead of Alabama. That's all that matters.
They got to win the next 2 games. It helps. That's nice to see. But if they lose again, they're not going to be in the top.
If you told me Miami was going to be ranked ahead of Alabama and Georgia after the 10th week of the season, you told me that even 3 weeks ago, I'd be like, I'll take it. So maybe we should be happy. Let's just be happy.
It means nothing. You got to beat Wake Forest. You got to beat Syracuse. You'll be in the playoff. You'll be in the ACC championship game and have a chance to make the playoff if you can win that. I don't think a 2-loss Miami makes the playoff. So we'll see. Got to win the next 3 in a row. All right, Matt. Thanks, obviously, for sharing your time with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, as always.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All
right, Matt Shodell, everybody. All right, now we're gonna bring in the anxious voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, who I know has been wanting to chime in through all of this. Bruce, we'll start out with the fan. You're representing the fan. What is the mood of the fan right now after that game on Saturday?
Pissed off, I would say. Pissed off, just angry, mad, disappointed. Nothing good. It looked like it was going to happen weeks ago. It could have happened. It looks like to me, Cal out-schemed us. Tech did it. Duke, to a certain extent, in the first half. Louisville definitely did it. And Georgia Tech did it. So I'm sitting here thinking, what the hell did they do all week? What are these guys doing all week getting ready? The Florida game, everybody says, was our best game. Now we're 9 games later. We're playing worse. Why? Now, I
saw the best game. We were great in Gainesville.
We were great in that game. Great. But one of the things that I do, as I guess you want to call me the voice of the fan, and I know a lot of these players. I call these guys all the time. I don't want it to come from my mouth. So in the last week, I spent a lot of time talking to Greg Mark, who I respect greatly. I'm sure you do. I talked to Caesar a lot because Mark played with Sapp. He played with Cortez. He played with Russell, and he played with that defense with Jimmy and Dennis. And I spoke to Clinton Portis today talking about the offense and the running game. So this is what I hear from these guys. The defensive line has got to stop stunting. Every time the ball is snapped, what you see is this. There's movement left to right, not much going up the field. So we saw last week both of their quarterbacks with the play fakes and like the RPO, and they pull it out and they would run. But the problem is when that's happening 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, Gary, at the line of scrimmage, these guys are going left and right instead of up the field. Greg and Caesar both told me the same thing. Ball gets snapped, get your ass up the field and get in the backfield and create problems for those guys. So they're not standing there with play fakes with 20 minutes to make a decision. You can't let them do that. That's simplifying the offense. Stop the stunting and get up the field. So Bain, who's been caught in traffic, you've seen, well, Barron, it takes bad angles. But some of these guys are getting caught in traffic, and all that stuff is happening in the backfield. There's nobody to stop the play. So that was one of the things. And what Clinton Portis told us today was to mix up that offense. Everybody thinks this offense is so wonderful. He has some doubts. They're not going to the outside. You got guys, I know people were talking about Chris Johnson. He's the slowest fast guy. He can turn the edge. He can get around the corner. You should not be running the ball in between the tackles, because what that does, it keeps the opposition's 6 or 7 in the box. They don't leave. So, we're having problems. Our offensive line is not blocking. Cam Ward's getting killed lately. That wasn't happening. So what do? I think you might have learned this as a kindergartner, because I did. When someone's coming after you on a blitz, what do? You screen or draw. Well, they don't have that in their arsenal. I don't see it. And so I'm looking at
we're seeing like
not a real traditional screen. We're talking about those little side passes. That's not a screen.
And a lot of tight end screen, but yeah. No.
But you got to be able to get the ball to the outside. So those linebackers aren't concentrating on what's in front of them. They got to get to the outside. They're not doing that. So, yeah, the offense is great, but they're starting to become very predictable. And so, I listen to these guys when I talk to them. And even Porter said the same thing about the offense. You got to throw screens. How many screens did he run? How many did Willis run? How many did Gore run? He even said Jason Gathers ran screens back in the day, and this is the best team in the country. They were running it. Why we can't do it now? Why not? What the hell? Why are we so limited to in between the tackles with Fletcher and Martinez? Yeah, they played some good games, but
I understand. But offense is far from the problem. They're the top offense.
I'm not saying it's the problem. I'm saying you got to.
I mean, obviously they could do different things. I mean, he ran the bubble screens the other day. They got totally blown up.
But that's not a screen.
I'm calling them. It's a bubble screen. It's a receiver screen. But yeah, but I agree. We're not seeing them to the running backs very much, and they've got guys that can be weapons on screenplays.
Yeah, no Jordan Lyle is one of them. And certainly Chris Johnson is one of them.
He's not even on the field. Neither is Chris Johnson.
Well,
I mean, they were putting Chris Johnson out there for a couple plays, but it's like it gets to the point where you put a guy on the field and he's out there to get the ball. The defense knows he's getting the ball. It loses its effectiveness. The last couple of weeks, they haven't even bothered with it.
Well, on a screen, it won't lose its effectiveness if they use it wisely. But if they don't use it wisely,
yeah,
But you got to do these things. It's part of the offense,
I'll take the offense as it is. Let's get the defense playing a little bit better.
That is true.
We got to obviously beat Wake Forest and Syracuse.
Yeah. And I brought this up weeks ago, and I asked these guys again, how on earth can we practice against this offense and not get better? How could that be? What are we doing out there, Gary?
Bruce, I'm telling you, like in practice, this defense.
I've seen some of them. I know
is not as bad as it's been in these games. So right. I can only attribute it to they know the plays because there's no other explanation. And T-Dog, if you're still listening, guilty. Okay, I watched this defense dominate the best offense in America at times, and yeah, I got deceived. I thought they were going to be better in the secondary than what they've been. No argument.
Right. What about this though, Gary? We have so many transfers that you don't really have any cohesiveness, and that's one of the things that all three of these guys agreed with me. Where's the cohesion? If you have this, you used to be you had the same players, 1999, 2000, 2001. They win the whole thing for the most part because there was no portal. Now you got all these different guys. You're not learning how to play as a unit. The communication is horrible on defense. They shouldn't even use that word in the same sentence. But it's not there.
Terrible. I agree. Way too much confusion.
Way
too many wasted timeouts because of all the confusion.
Yep.
All right, let's go to everything 305. What you got for us, everything?
Hey, Gary, how we doing?
We're doing good.
What's up, 305? When are we going to get you a camera or something?
One of these days, there, my friend.
Yeah,
One of
go
these
buy a
days.
webcam, man. They're $40.
There
Here,
you
on my
there
tab.
you
I'll
go.
pay for it.
There you go. Appreciate that. Hey, I just wanted to. I'm sorry I was able to miss Positive Matt here, but
Hey, he's
wanted
not
to
wrong.
point
He's
out-
not wrong, 305. He's
Everybody
no,
wants a
he's
piece of
not.
that.
I'm just teasing. But I wanted to point something out. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of individuals kind of made fun of some of the points that I had with regards to where we were at as a team, and I felt our defense was still trying to figure out what their roles were. And I said a couple of games will be close. And one of the things that I tried to point out when we played Florida State was that scheme was the right scheme. And I know we ended up winning the game decisively and all those things, but they really didn't have the players. But the concept on how to beat us. After that game, every coach on that staff understood at that point that they were vulnerable to that. I mean, this isn't calculus. It really isn't. So understanding that you want to go ahead and take the air out of the ball against Miami, you want to run the ball, and you want to go ahead and attack the edges where they're weakest. That has not changed. That continues to be something that we're susceptible to. And going back to what Matt said about having too many voices, that's one thing. But if you go back and look at every defense that Coach has had, Coach Guidry has had, going back to his days at McNeese State, always had upper level and upperclassmen at the safety position. The guys that understood his concept but had the athleticism and the brains to be able to make certain plays, especially being able to shell things out where you can be in a good angle, in position to have a good angle to make a play. You've got no safeties that can run this defense. And when you also add in that you're missing two good corners, okay? Yeah, OJ Frederick is a good kid. For a freshman, he's done a really, really good job, no doubt about it. But there are certain things that he won't do, that Lance Guidry won't do, based on the vulnerabilities that these guys have based on experience, chemistry, and cohesion. So what are we talking about?
Hey, 305. Had those two guys not left early, we would have had two senior safeties. But because they left, we don't. We got caught.
Correct.
That's what happens.
And you can't blame Cam. He's playing a lot. I don't know what's James doing, Bruce. Have you noticed? I haven't really paid any attention.
No, he's supposed to be a backup linebacker for the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not playing.
He's played a little bit, but the fact is that we are where we're at. And Gary, you made a really good point. It's just he can't trust what these guys are going to do.
But isn't that a problem? Isn't that a problem? I mean, should he be playing with guys that he can't trust? I mean, shouldn't they have been better? Shouldn't the evaluation have been better? You're a coach, 305. I mean,
I don't think your evals are the issue. I think the issue is
why, if you're recruiting players that don't have the football smarts to grasp a system, and you have to go vanilla because they'll bust left and right and they're waving their arms on the field, confused. Isn't that evaluation?
I also think, Gary, and everything that they figured that the front four was going to be a lot better than it is. They didn't think this was going to happen, because this really blows their mind now.
Listen, Simeon Barrow and Tyler Barron were late pickups in the portal.
Right.
Yeah.
But it hasn't affected Barrow. He's played pretty damn good.
Well, and you've had your best defensive player from last year in the front seven. He gets nicked up game one. He's not 100%. He's not the same guy he was last year. He's not physically the same guy. You can see he's lacking some explosiveness.
Absolutely.
He's getting double teamed. He's getting chopped around. He's not comfortable. He's just not 100% physically, and that's part of this gig. It's great when you're a freshman. You're a freshman All-American, but as a sophomore, you're not going to catch anybody by surprise. But he's been nicked up, missed his 4 games. All those reps you can't replicate. So when you look at everything together, I don't say it's also a little bit of bad luck, Gary. Sometimes when you're thin with experience-wise, and guys get nicked up, that doesn't help you. I thought Damari Brown was set to have a great year. I really did. And I'm not the only one, because there hasn't been a scout that's gone to watch practice, that has said the same thing about this kid. So the potential's there.
He's good. But I think Matt's point about Messidor, And Gary saw it, and I saw it he was killing people. And
Killing
now
people.
killing people.
Destroying the best offense in the country on the practice field. Destroying them.
He's basically physically not the same guy he was in camp. And that's based on who he is. These guys have a history
I
for a
can't
reason.
explain that.
Yeah, but he doesn't like playing in traffic. He'd rather be on the outside.
He needs to be on the outside for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be where he's at. And I don't know why they do all these things, but if he's better than Barron, get Barron on the bench and let him play on the outside and put somebody else in the inside.
Now, a question, we talked about the freshmen not being ready. Well, there's a kid from North Carolina that all we heard for the first couple of months is how good he was going to be. And we haven't seen anything. This is year 2. And I've yet to see Horton do anything on the defensive tackle side.
He hasn't been healthy. But I'll tell you, Mario's got to figure something out. Why have they done such a great job of player identification, development on the offensive side of the ball, primarily at the offensive line, where he and Alex Mirabal are handpicking the players, okay? And they've done a good job at that spot. They really have. A couple mistakes, but for the most part, they've done a good job. That's not the same at every position. So,
the Ward elevates everybody's play. Look at Arroyo this year. The receivers, again, Sam Brown dropped another ball. I know Mario was mad at that. You could see it in his face. He was
they didn't count
drop.
He got destroyed. He got pounded on that.
Well, I hit him right in the stomach.
Listen, I'm a tough critic, and I didn't even consider that a drop. He got killed.
But going back to my original point here, what I was trying to get was understanding the way this game was going in the second quarter. You can't leave points on the board. You got a 4th and 3. You're down 4. You take your points.
No
because
doubt.
You understand that what they're running is exactly what Florida State tried to do. You already knew that teams are going to try to do this to you. So at this stage, this should be nothing new to you.
It was a massive mistake
in the country. So why wouldn't you get within 1 point?
It was a massive mistake, and they were chasing it for the rest of the game.
Exactly. And then the next thing is you go to when they go for the 2-point conversion. You're still on the road. You still have whatever points you have. You've got to take when it's necessary for you to stay in the game, knowing how poor your defense is playing, and you've got to go for 2 to make sure you have an opportunity to go ahead and get the lead or stay tied at worst case. That's when you go for 2 because you're on a road and you're not playing well defensively. You're really playing poorly. But I'll point out one thing. We talked about dotting up a blitz and some of the games he hasn't played and we're stunning all the time. I will say that the most critical defensive play of that game, the defense made, and they gave Cam the ball back. That was a big time stop to go ahead and on the quarterback keeper to go ahead and stop that up the middle. I thought that was tremendous for them to be ready for that situation. They knew what they were going to run, and that was the best defensive snap they had collectively that day. And offensively, we couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, every now and then they do some good stuff. It's
same thing they did against Louisville, Gary. They had 1 or 2 good stops when they needed it. I mean, we're 9-1. Louisville is what ranked 18th in this power ranking that we just saw tonight. I mean, we're not atrocious. We're not elite, but there's enough good here, and you've got one thing that you can't teach that the other 17 teams wish they had. And that's an alpha quarterback who's going to make his mistakes and he's going to gamble, but you can't teach what that kid brings to the table.
Yeah.
And right now, you've got to find a way. This is Coach Dawson's biggest challenge, is for him to buy in to exactly what Matt pointed out, which is to change up what we're doing to make sure we give our defense less reps to have to worry about, number one. Number two, that we maximize what we're best at against our opponents. And if you look at who we're playing the next 2 games, our offensive line matches up extremely well with these 2 defensive lines. Get that run game going consistently. I mean, we had basically 2 minutes and 8 seconds, right, when we got the ball back. You could have still ran the ball at least on first down. Guess what? you were getting fucking 8, 9, 10 yards of crack on them. They
Mhm.
wanted no part of David Martinez. You bailed him out because you've got this alpha, and I get that. But they're going. If you really want to win, and you really want to show NFL teams that you're about winning, this is a prime example of you fine-tuning things to make sure that we execute as a team. And sometimes you, as the alpha, you got to put your ego aside a little bit and worry about making sure you take advantage of the opportunities that you have and the advantages that you have. And listen, the next 2 games, they don't match. Neither team's going to match up with us well up front. They just don't. So it's a great opportunity for Dawson to reevaluate things. We talk about not hitting the perimeter, that we're always inside the box. That's true. We don't get enough motion. We don't get enough jet sweeps. We have enough speed out there. We're not squeezing that, and we're not squeezing our opponents the way we need to. And when they're showing you cover 2, and then they go ahead and they drop into a spread 3, dude, just take what they're giving you.
Mhm.
And if we do that, I'm telling you, it's all predicated on how well we run the ball. And if we go ahead and switch to that, we shouldn't have a problem. There'll be close games. There'll be good games. You should come out winning the next 2 games. Because that, my opinion is, you got to get to the ACC championship game.
But we know that. We will.
Any relevancy. If you want to go forward and you want to get all these recruits, this is his moment is now. Mario has to seize this opportunity. And if he doesn't, Gary, you mentioned this earlier, what's the point of spending $30 million every year? What's the point?
I mean, the point is you got to pick the right players. Listen, I mean, I know I'm a broken record on this subject, and, Mad Rappers, he's sitting here taking shots at me, but I know I've been saying it, Mad Rapper, but how am I wrong? We don't have a player on this defense that is going to get drafted day 1 and day 2. This is after 2 years of Mario, the best recruiter in the country, out there recruiting transfer portal players and high school players. The right guys are not being taken, the Mario Cristobal.
Well, Ruben Bain's
can't
the right
hurt.
guy.
Bain's injury didn't help
Bain's going
us.
to play on Sundays, Gary. He's just not 100%. I still think Ruben Bain's going to play on Sundays. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, he's got to move to defensive tackle, and then he's got to develop. I mean, he's not, he's not prototypical for sure. I mean, he could be like an Aaron Donald, maybe.
Right. He's not. He doesn't have that big size. That dominant.
Yeah, but
he's
got to get there and start developing at that position. That's my opinion. All right, everything. Got to let you go, man. Thank you always for being part of the show.
Hey, Gary, let me ask you this: what do you think of 4th and 8, 4th and 9, and 4th and 18? And they all converted, all 3 of them. How could that be? When did we ever see? Even we were bad the last 20 years. It didn't happen 3 times in one game.
Guys were being turned wide open.
I know.
The coverage busts that this team is committing week to week are insane. I don't know who to blame for it. I don't know what the reason is. I'm guessing it's a combination of things. I don't know if players aren't studying their plays hard enough during the week. What's breaking down at practice? I have no idea. But
wouldn't you like to be there to see who's covering? Yeah, 4 great wide receivers. Who's covering them?
It's
practice?
beyond unbelievable.
Yeah, it
some
is.
of the busts that we're seeing on the defensive side of the ball. All right, I got to go to Jake because he's got to be so messed up by now. I mean, he's got his wine. I'm watching him. He's got he drifts in and out of the room. He's got his little caves, in his domicile over there where different things go on. Jake, I won't fess up. I don't want to get you to be gun shy about coming on the show. But man, you're not going to be able to speak in another 10 minutes. So we got to get you on the show. What do you?
Look at his eyes, Gary. Look at his eyes.
I've been watching him for what was it? 9:39. I've been watching him for an hour.
You're waiting until I'm at the bottom of the bottom.
I know it looks like I'm paying attention to the show. I spend my whole night on Tuesday nights watching Jake because he's so damn entertaining between everything.
Pacing around.
Yeah, he paces.
You see me? I was making meatballs earlier, so that's
You got everything going on, man. You got the kitchen, you got the wine cellar, you got the special room off to the side. You got all kinds of stuff. And
that's the wine room. That's yeah.
Bring the show to his house next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun having this show at your house, Jake. But you're out west, right? You're
yeah. I'm in Salt Lake City. You got
Salt Lake City, yeah.
Plane for that one. Yeah, that's a bit of a hike.
All right, what do you got for us, man? How'd that game look to you from Salt Lake City? I hope better than from me in Atlanta.
So, two things can be true at the same time here. And this season, I've always said I want to be entertained. There's a caveat to that. Now, this season, entertaining. We're probably going to the championship, the ACC championship game. We're probably gonna win the next two. We should, hopefully. With that being said, there's two things. I see the program going in reverse. We are one player away from being in catastrophe right now. And secondly, the misses on the coaching staff. So we keep saying, I keep hearing player personnel, Okay, look.
Well, you're hearing that from me.
I'm hearing that from you.
Yeah.
Going into this season, you got probably 5 or 6 guys on this defense who are draftable. How many other ACC teams have that?
5
now,
or 6.
That we thought were draftable.
5 or 6, Jake?
Their stock is plummeting.
Okay. Tyler Barron had 6 sacks in the ACC last year, like 18 tackles for loss. He's horrible this year.
Horrible.
Ruben Bain, horrible this year.
Yeah, but he's only a sophomore. Simeon Barrow's going to get drafted.
He's going to get drafted. There's 3.
Not high.
Not high.
Akeem Messidor. Everyone was talking Akeem Messidor is destroying our practices. There's 4. Francisco Maui-Noa. Last season, he's a draftable player. Probably not a first-round pick, but he's probably 4 through 7. He's a day 3 pick. That's 5.
He's a day 3 pick.
He's a day 3 pick. 6 and 7.
Gerald Porter was a day 3 pick. Damari Brown. All these players. Wesley Bassett. What has happened to all of them this season? They've gotten worse. That's coaching. I'm sorry. Bruce, you nailed it. The stunts have got to stop. The twists have got to stop.
I didn't nail it. I told you where I got this from. I talk to all my friends and former players constantly, almost every day. And I ask them these questions. I don't want to sound like this is coming from my brain. I mean, I'm watching it and I agree, but they're explaining me why it's not working, because there's so much of guys going left and going right. They're banging into each other. And then you look at Maui-Noa, who doesn't know what the hell to do. If they were going straight up the field, he would have a lane or an alley to go if he was going to blitz or not. You can't do it with this defense.
And
like a pinball in a pinball machine.
They postmark their blitzes. Matt put up that article earlier today with like the failures in that game. And a couple of the blitzes he pointed out, it was just postmarked. And then what did they do? They picked him up. The guy had time to throw. Boom. No problem. Mish Powell is, as per usual, out of position. Jaden Harris out of position. And I swear to God, is the linebackers now have the helmet where you can talk into it. What's in there? Like the Benny Hill theme song? Like they're just running around like they don't know what's going on. It's a joke.
You know, not that Clinton Portis knows everything about defense, but before I asked him, and he said he's pretty damn sure that Maui-Noa is guessing. He's just guessing.
They have to be. How could they? Don't even know what they're doing out there. Jaden Harris, like he's out of position on every play. Mish Powell, he was on a championship team last year, and now all of a sudden he was a starter for a national.
He had a damn good front line, and he's being exposed now. That front 4 is not helping our defense at all.
But it's the movement.
They don't make any plays.
They don't make any plays, right? Gary's right. And there's nobody to scheme for. If you're an offensive coordinator, who do you scheme for?
There's nobody made.
Here's the other thing. Like when we were talking about the stunts, teams have figured out, get the ball out quick. 2 seconds, like boom, get it out quick because their secondary is usually out of place. And so when you're stunting, you're making lateral movement, and you can't get – how many plays has Tyler Barron or Reuben Bain been right at the quarterback but can't get it? Because they were stunting, and they're making lateral movement when they should be crashing down on the quarterback.
Well, Greg Mark also told me that it should be an L. It's called that you go up, and then if you think you can get around, you do it. But otherwise, then you cut inside. But when the ball snapped, these fools are cutting inside, and the edge is exposed.
Nobody's containing anything.
Nobody's containing. Right.
There's no contain, and Maui Noah is out of place, so it's a disaster. But so that being aside, all right. So we're 9-1. So this is going great. But if you look at the overall program, 4 coordinators, all of them are disasters. The player development, a disaster. This program is heading in reverse. The defense has gotten markedly
Don't
worse.
say that, Jake. That's not true. They're 9-1. That's not true.
Okay, if Emory Williams, if they did not pull that miracle of getting Cam Ward here at the 11th hour, this team is 6-6, maybe 7-5. If Emory Williams is the starter,
hey, listen, he's not Cam Ward, but he's damn good.
Emery's damn good.
It
would look different. It would look
and
different.
He's smart too.
But I'll still say 8 or 9 wins. It would look different.
7-5 at best.
It would look different. We
lose at Florida. We lose at Louisville. We lose last week.
We don't lose at
we
Florida.
Lose at Virginia Tech. What's that?
No,
Jake,
we would not have
lost to Florida. I don't think
you're undervaluing Emory Williams. Emory
Williams doesn't have the moxie to go into the swamp and play.
No, he went to Florida State and almost beat them.
How do you know yet? I mean, he was a true freshman last year. He beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't come back against Cal. He doesn't come back against Virginia Tech. Louisville blows us out of the water. Right now, we're staring down, 6-4. We probably lose to Syracuse.
Well, you say blows us out of the water, but look at our defense in all those games. My goodness. And we were behind in most of those games.
I mean, you're not wrong. He's not wrong, Bruce. He's not wrong in the fact that, Cam Ward has erased a lot.
Oh, of course. I understand that, but that's not normal.
Our defense has gotten worse. Our offensive line is marginally better. Cam Ward erases a lot of.
But they screwed up on that last play the other day. They only rushed 3. They only had to deal with 3 guys, and they let Cam Ward get hit.
Well, yeah, that blitz that just came through,
Well, that was a separate play, but I'm talking about the play where he got stripped and the strip sack at the end of the game. There were only 3 guys rushing on that play.
So my point is going into year 4, the defense is markedly worse. The offensive line is okay, better. Running backs have improved. Wide receiver next year is going to take a huge drop off. You don't
know who they're going to have.
Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George are gone. Possibly Isaiah Horton because he's playing pretty damn good.
They'll have.
I think he'll be back.
They'll bring a few guys in from the portal. They obviously
they still have Nycar. You haven't seen him play, but he's really good.
Nycar,
Jojo Trader. I haven't given up on Jojo Trader, but the point is that we're into year 4.
Malachi Tony coming in as a true freshman is going to make immediate impact, I think.
We said the same thing about Ray Joseph, and
yeah, he's like a major disappointment.
But more to the point, the coaching is horrible. We've gone through 4 coordinators. Well, I'm assuming. So here's where you look at Shannon Dawson. He's kind of gotten a pass this season. I'm with Bruce. He hasn't game planned. He's just lucked out that Cam Ward has bailed him out of his shitty play calling. Rice, he is the number 1 offense in the country, and Rice is his dream job right now. Could you imagine that? If Alabama,
I don't think when push comes to shove, I don't see him going to Rice.
No,
but that's the point. He's not even that good. He can't get a head coaching job, and he is the number 1 team or offense in the country. That's not so. What that tells me is the rest of college football says, you know what, you're garbage, but you have a generational quarterback.
Yeah,
your play calling.
Jake, what jobs are open? 2 weeks ago when this news came out, what jobs are open for him? He might get some offers.
Oh, what do you think
he's also got an agent trying to get him a raise?
Of course, it could be the agent too. It always is.
Okay, so do you think he's going to go, let's say, Northwestern or a Big Ten? Hell no.
I don't care where he goes. I want someone who really, really knows how to take advantage of all the talent that this guy's got. And I don't see it. I'm sorry.
But that's my point here.
Ward or no Ward?
The guy, he has no talent. Nobody's impressed by the fact that he's running the #1 offense in the country. Nobody cares. He's not going to get a head coaching job or even an upgrade in as an offensive.
I think your point is it would be almost impossible to F this up, no matter whether you're Dawson or you or Gary or me.
Yeah,
How do you screw this up?
You could call the plays. Gary,
he's done a pretty good job this year. I thought he screwed up a little bit the other day with the bubble screens.
Yeah.
After the first one didn't work, I don't know that I would have called the second and third one, but he kind of was derailing his own drives, which were going very, very well.
Yeah,
but
bubble screens, you know they're coming before they hike the ball. They don't even have a chance. But that's my point. Is that this guy has the number? How many offensive coordinators are in the top 5 and don't receive a promotion?
I don't know if he's going to get a promotion or not. I don't know what he's making now.
We don't know what he's going to get or not get, and we don't
know.
But there's no quality in our coaching staff, and so
the offense has not been the problem this year.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But the coaching is a huge problem here, from the top to the bottom.
A lot of teams that wish they had 9-1 problems. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the teams that aren't 9-1. I mean,
but like you've got the best kicker in the ACC, and you refuse to kick field goals.
He made mistakes the other day. It was a mistake. It was a
you
mistake.
Wouldn't have to go for
two.
Too, dumb. And then guess what? It's a tie game, or you're up by 1. And so these are just dumb coaching errors. That
it was a team loss the other day, Jake. No argument at all.
No question about it. But
coaches, offense, defense, everybody. That was an organizational loss. It was a team loss, and they all, like Mario said himself, they all have to eat it and move on from it.
So one thing we're talking personnel and the need to upgrade personnel. Is there any movement? Because like one of the huge disappointments of this season for me is I thought, okay, 10 wins, and 10 wins is inevitable. We're at least going to win one of the next 2, worst case scenario. I don't see this recruiting class is lackluster. It has no top end talent. And
they got some pretty good DBs, which is what they needed badly. They did. They got a couple of these 4-stars that are pretty damn good. And
Hilton Stubbs and
Hilton Stubbs could be a very, very good player.
He could be good.
There's no top 50 players in this
Gerard
class.
Pringle, I think, is going to be a very, very good player.
Who?
Gerard
Pringle, the running back.
He's
the tight ends. I think the tight ends are very, very good. You know, the DBs look like they can be decent, but you don't really know until they get here. I like Luke Nickel at the quarterback a lot. So we'll see. You know,
there's no
going to be a good player.
High-end talent in this class. We have an ACC championship.
There's
program.
no can't miss talent. You're right.
No, we don't have a Francis Maui Noah. We don't have. I mean, I don't know. None of the guys from the defensive line. That's excusable. You don't expect defensive line guys to be studs year #1, but we at least had the top end talent. There's 0 5-stars in this class. There is 0 top 50 players.
Yeah,
in this class.
We'll see what happens there. But yeah, no, you're not totally wrong, Jake.
But we're only 2 weeks.
We'll see.
Or 3 weeks. It's early this year. There isn't much time to turn it around. He doesn't have the extra 2 weeks to go make that huge push, and that scares me. That I don't see the help coming there. And then
I think we're going to get Hanks. I'm going to go on record and say I think we're getting Hanks. We're not going to get Pickett. He's just stuck at LSU now. Yeah, no matter how many games they lose.
And that's fine.
And the Wiley kid will be here too, that linebacker.
Wiley, yeah.
So that's they have some good players. They might not have the blue chip guys that you're looking for, but they don't always work out. What's going on?
We always say everybody's a good player, Bruce. Let's be honest, and we don't. And you know the proof's going to be in the pudding in a couple of years. All right, Jake. Let's let you run, okay? Because we got to get a few other guys on here tonight. But thanks for being on the show. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and drink up, my man.
Drink up for 2 weeks.
Cheers.
I already did.
All right, Jake.
We have a cast of characters, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Pinellas Kane, not get called for one holding penalty. That's sour grapes. The refs let him play.
Yeah.
You could call holding on almost every play in football. All right, let's go to our man, Sebastian. You ready, Sebastian? Let's do it, man. You've been patient.
Man.
You've been patient.
Man,
But-
I've been patient.
No, I
man.
think he's been impatient.
I got the peak audience for you, man. We got the peak audience for you now. What you got for us?
I appreciate it. I just want to know. I don't know how much I need to pay for NIL to get in that upper tier the first hour, man. It is something. But
What sucks is when they don't play up to their pre-ordained value.
Yeah. Hey, there's a couple things I just wanted to kind of point it out. The first thing is, Gary, you've been talking about, evaluation.
That's what I think.
For us to be hurt at the cornerback position, the person that comes to mind is Robert Stafford. This was a kid that was committed to Georgia that we flipped, and we got him on the team, and he just can't seem to get on the field. And
He was there. I saw him the other day. He's playing. He's on special teams. I know that.
That means he's a bad evaluation.
Yeah.
But the thing I have to say is, this was a guy that was committed to Georgia that we were able to get, and
Well, Georgia makes mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we kind of miss it.
Or maybe they're better at coaching up their players. Don't know.
The second point I wanted to make, and this is for you, Bruce, and Gary, you can kind of chime in. Would you guys agree that probably Brent Key probably outcoached us in that Georgia Tech game?
Without a doubt. He was unbelievable. He
And
was
last year too.
unbelievable.
Last year too, Gary, with the defense that they threw at us.
So with that being said, Mario came out the interview saying we got to own it, we got to own it, we got to own it. This is the first time. This is probably one of a couple of times I can truly say that I think coaching lost this game. And I don't want to lay it completely at Mario's feet, but there's 3 games left in the season. You're trying to get to Charlotte, and to not kick those field goals. I mean, we were going to get the ball in the second half, right? We were going to receive the second half kickoff. So what's wrong 14-13? What's wrong?
It was a huge mistake. He made a big mistake doing that. No argument. I mean, I'm sure he'd like to have it back. Mario's an aggressive coach. He has always believed in going forward on fourth down almost every single time. And the other day it bit him.
But he's a conservative guy by nature.
Here's my point, Gary. I don't mind you being aggressive, but when you're on the road and you're in a tight game in the first half, I always look at it as confidence plays. Making a field goal and going at the half down 1 point, knowing you haven't played your best ball in the first half, that's a confidence play. And what you did is you gambled and you took 3 points away from the team, and you made them chase those points the whole entire game. That's all.
No, I think a lot of us said that, Sebastian. A lot of people said that.
Those points the whole entire game, and so we said that Brent Key out-coached Mario. That's an instance in the game where I kind of feel like that kind of happened. You not only did it in the first half, but you did the exact same thing in the second half as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so all I'm saying is, okay, we don't have a perfect team, but as a coach, don't put more on your team than you need to. That's all I'm saying. That's the point I'm really trying to stress.
But you understand Mario's mindset. A few weeks ago, I had Randall Hill. I was talking to Randall. We were talking about all that. And Randall said that he would have been aggressive too. What game they went for it or something. And that was Jimmy's mentality, and that's Mario's mentality. That's his mentality.
Okay. So if you're going
you guys may be 100% right, but that's what's in his head.
You know what? I'm just saying there's sometimes I don't think you need to do that. And I'm just thinking in the first half, I didn't think he needed to do that. When you went for it on 4th and 1 in our own territory and you pass instead of run, I mean, I believe you should be able to, to be a 10-win ball club, you got to be able to make it on 4th and 1. I don't think most teams that are winning 10 games can't get 4th and 1.
But in fairness, they had run it 3 plays in a row, so he's thinking of changing it up. If he completes the pass, nobody's saying a word. That's Monday morning quarterback. In all fairness.
So let's divest. So where do we go from here? We got to win the next 2 games by just 1 point. It's not about being sexy. It's not about style points anymore. All we want to do is put ourselves in position, be in Charlotte, and if we win that game, we make it to the playoffs, and that's a successful season.
If we win the next 2 games, Sebastian, by 1 point, how confident are you going into the ACC title game?
So let me answer that question.
Because if you're not going to be certainly not thinking we're blowing people out anymore.
So let me answer that question. I think I'm pretty confident. And the reason why is because that shows growth year over year. You got Cam Ward, and you just have to get to the dance. That's all I'm saying. You have to get to the dance. And I just say that he can't afford to do that in the next 2 games. He can't afford to take those points off the board and gamble and think that, the offense is going to bail him out when the defense is struggling the way they are. That's what I'm trying to convey. Because the personnel that we have is the personnel that we're going to battle with.
No, I wish we would have taken the 3 points too. I agree 1,000,000% on that. I just sometimes he's got his old time Kane mentality, and as an offensive lineman, he figures he can get 2 yards, a yard, a half a yard whenever he feels like it. But they did it 3 times here. They didn't do anything, so he went for the pass, which was a risk, which is him, but it did work out. I don't know if the game would have been over had he failed, but the margin for error with this defense now. Pretty scary.
Yeah. The other point I want to make is this. The blueprint is out there that they're really targeting Maui Noah. They're really targeting him. And so I'm just wondering, what can Lance Guidry do to kind of compensate him being targeted like that?
Well, I don't know when you say targeted. I mean, unfortunately, the offensive linemen are not firing out. They are firing out, and they're getting to our linebackers, which they shouldn't be able to do. That's got to stop.
Well, he plays too much almost on the line of scrimmage where
he does,
and dart it out. And I'm just thinking that should we continue to do that?
No, I said before we should have our 4 guys go right up the field and let him sit back 3 or 4 yards like all the linebackers used to do back in the day and see what's opening and see what's developing. And if you do have to run someplace, you're not stuck in garbage. Those guys are in the backfield. So
because I think you're putting a lot of pressure on. So my last question would be this: how confident are you guys that we can win the next 2 games?
I'm very confident.
Very confident.
I think they're going to kick the crap out of Wake Forest.
Me too.
They have 2 weeks to prepare. I think it's going to be like the Gator game. Remember, the best game that we looked was the Gator game. Both sides of the ball, preparation, the whole thing. Well, they had weeks to prepare for that game. They have 2 weeks to get ready for this Wake Forest game. I think they're going to kick the crap out of Wake Forest. I'm a little concerned about the Syracuse game, but we'll see. You'll see.
I just hope they don't put too much pressure on themselves when they just realize that. I like what Shannon Dawson say. Routine plays.
Yeah, but routine plays, you could easily spot what you're going to do. When it's routine, it becomes habit. And that's what some of these D coordinators have learned, our habits. Hence, the last 2 games, they're starting to blanket Restrepo a lot more, making somebody else to make the plays, like Sam Brown, who didn't catch the ball. Now, you could say he was smacked or not, but I've seen a lot of guys make catches like that. I haven't seen Horton drop too many when he's got his arms are stretched out and he gets smashed and he still hangs on to it. He's just a better receiver. That's all.
So
I don't believe he's a bad receiver.
I didn't say he was bad. I said I think the other guy's a better receiver.
I'm not concerned about the offense. I think they'll be fine. When I look at the defense, I do believe that we do need to make some tweaks. We have to adjust some of the personnel that's on the field. That's all I'm saying. If we get Austin back, if we get Brown back, that'd be great. But should we look at Hayes? Should we look at Cam Pruitt?
Only the coaches know if they're ready. They're on the practice field.
They have blunt too, but I agree with Gary. Where the hell has Justin Scott been? He gets in a little bit
Well,
here,
he's
a
a true
little there.
freshman. He doesn't belong out there.
Yeah, I know, but he has gotten some play. He's looked decent on a
He
couple
doesn't
of
belong
plays.
out there. He's a true freshman. They're giving him some playing time, yeah, because next year they're going to need him. But like, is he better right now than Moten, for example? I don't know. I mean, that's where you got to defer to the coaches. You got to defer to the coaches on that stuff.
I think we win the next 2 games. I just don't think we cover the points. I think it's going to be very, very close, but I don't think
the points. Guy wants to win by 1, and he's worried about covering the points.
Well,
hey, I'll tell you what's going to be a wild game if we play SMU. Will all our former players and a former coach.
That will be insane in Charlotte. Wow.
That
team's good. That offense is really good.
It'll be fun. Lashley can coach it up on offense. Yep. All right, Sebastian. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for being part of the show. J. Crew says, "What do I think about SMU trolling our players?"
I heard about that.
J. Crew, we have so many problems that are higher up on the priority list than what Brashard Smith, or I'm trying to remember who else was doing it.
Keyshawn Smith is there.
Yeah, like who cares? Like let them say whatever they want to say. If win the last 2 games, they'll get their shot at SMU. It'll get proven on the field. All right.
Elijah Roberts is there. Harrison Hunt is there.
Yeah, all the guys that were attitude and discipline problems.
Right.
All right, let's go to K-Mac. K-Mac, what you got for us?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all feeling tonight?
Doing good, man.
How about you?
Hey, not too bad. Extremely tired. I went through my camera. Second time I caught you guys, man. I'm just beat up. I look like an old hag with curlers in my head. Can't be on TV like that. But
we would still love to look at you. We're all beat up here ourselves.
Hey, I'll get y'all in a couple weeks. I'll make sure everything is shiny and niced up. But a couple days I want to hit on. I wish I could have called Matt. Matt actually said something that I was thinking myself, and I never thought I was going to be to this point this year. But I'm thinking, man, we may have to start making some adjustments in terms of our run pass ratio. I'm thinking we may need to start going 55-45 in favor of the run to help and protect our defense. If we don't have the talent to keep up or stop guys from scoring, I think the next best thing we can do is give them enough time to make sure that they're fully rested, that that they're over there able to look at some more tape, or quick scores, as great as they are. I hate to even make it seem like I'm talking about don't score quick, but the faster we get off the field from scoring, the faster the defense is going to come on the field and have to deal with whatever they have to deal with. And I'm just thinking that a more controlled game in terms of the running game and mixing in the pass. And I mean, if you score off a pass play, you score off a pass play, but I'm thinking that we may need to control, as great as our offense is, let's control the game with our offense. And see what we can
Cam's
do.
not going to stand there at the line of scrimmage and see a total mismatch on a pass play and check it from a run to a pass. If they got 7 or 8 in the box and he sees somebody that's going to get one-on-one, which he did the other day, he hit Arroyo, he hit I guess it was Jacoby on a long play when they were stacked to the right side. So if he sees things, he's going to change it to a pass.
He's opting to the pass play every time. Yeah. He's trying to win. He's trying to win the Heisman Trophy. You can't blame the kid.
And that's another point I'm gonna get to. But staying where we are, and Bruce, I agree. If within the offense, I mean, if something opens up, it's obvious. Man, you take it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not saying don't score. I'm just saying, but in a methodical way where we're controlling it. And if it's obvious, then you take it. I mean, you score. But But let's not. There's plenty of times. Let's put it like this. There are plenty of times that we're throwing the ball. We shouldn't be throwing the ball. There's plenty of downs that you got your first and you don't have to. There's times we're getting the ball. We're throwing 3 straight times. No mixing up the run. And if we are throwing it, why aren't we getting our tight ends going? But Royal looks phenomenal right now. We've been waiting for this kid to get healthy for years. He's finally healthy. He is him and Lofton. I would hate to see.
I agree with that too. I think Lofton. I thought he'd get more burn this year.
Yes, let's go 12 personnels with Lofton on one side and with Arroyo on the other. I mean, there's so many ways where, and if you get certain mismatches, great, throw the ball. But I'm thinking I would just like to see a 55-45. And again, if something opens up where you take the pass, you take what you take what they give you in a sense, but in our own control way. So I don't want to be on too much. I hope the
No,
point
that's
I was
okay.
trying to
But
make
you know
came
what?
across.
They're gonna wind up getting what you want. You're gonna get your wish, because if they keep playing these two deep safeties and stuff, they're not gonna be able to go over the top. They're gonna have to take those drives.
Yeah, like perfect example, a game like Syracuse. I'm be honest with you. We almost have to turn into what Georgia Tech tried to do to us against Syracuse. You don't want to give Syracuse too much hope or too much confidence. If they can come out there and score a couple touchdowns early in the game and they build up their confidence, now we're fighting that wheel. Our defense's head is down, theirs is up. Their defense doesn't expect to stop us, but they might get lucky a couple times. And so I'm just thinking that we may end up having to flip the script and pull kind of not necessarily in just we're just running 100% of the time, but I'm just saying is running the ball more, trying to play more control versus letting a Syracuse type team who they want to get up and down, or even like an SMU, where offensively, they're a tad behind us, but defensively they're better than us. And so it's like, hey, those are some things that I would like to see them maybe look into. And so my second point is what you said about the Heisman. It's
I know win the Heisman. How many
and I don't blame
you
dude.
have a chance to win the Heisman?
Gary, I want it. I want it as well. I would love to see, because I see how the media slated Cam all year in terms of they talk about how great he is, but then all of a sudden now this push, they have a Travis Hunter and a Genty every year, but you have a 4-loss or a 3-loss Jaden Daniels is running away with it the whole year. Nobody said Cam has the exact same numbers as like the last 4 quarterbacks, but all of a sudden now everybody else they want to push. So don't get me wrong, I want Cam with the Heisman.
But they don't. They don't want Miami to win anything. That's the problem with the whole thing.
But the other side of it is then we're talking that win. So, for instance, you take Boise State and the Genty kid, right? He's running up the score. He 1,500, 1,600. He's about to smash every record, which is what everyone's promoting. But if Boise State got down 21-28 in the game, do you think they're going to keep trying to run to get Genty that Heisman? Or you think they're going to open up the playbook and try and get those and get back in the game by throwing the ball, which they know, they have to do at that point? And so I'm kind of thinking, putting it in the same perspective, everybody wants Cam to get the numbers. We all want Cam to get the numbers, but to me, it's going to have to be in the flow of the game. It's going to have, if we need to run, it makes sense to run. We got to run. If that's what's going to take to win, we're pounding somebody, we're running the ball down somebody's throat. We're getting 7, 8, 9, 10 yards of carry. That's what we have to do. That's what has to be done. I don't see a Genty. I don't see Boise State, who's right in the playoff thick of things right now. So let's put it in perspective. They're right where we are. They're trying to make the playoffs. If Boise State is down 20 on, you think they're running Genty the way that they run him? I don't think so. And I think Cam has to take the same approach. We want the Heisman, but we want the championship. We want the playoffs more. And we have to start to decide what makes most sense. The numbers are there already. Now the wins are going to be the second part, because Cam loses another game. You lose another game to a SMU. You lose another game to a Syracuse. You're not getting it anyway at this particular point, because everyone's pushing the Travis Hunter. Everyone's pushing the Genty because they just want. I always say it as the Miami bias.
You've heard him say several times he doesn't care. That's not his main motivation. Yeah, it may be subconsciously, or maybe he won't tell everybody the truth, but I think he wants to win. I think he wants to win way more than if he wins the Heisman, because he's
absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah, and I'm
Maybe
not doubting
a little bit more. I think he wants to win Heisman.
I'm sure he does. But not at the expense of putting himself out there.
He would like to do both, obviously. All right,
absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you in a couple weeks, bud.
All right, man. Yep. So Carlos Walker, he says that Georgia Tech wouldn't want Miami starters on their defense. What he's saying is Georgia Tech would want all the Miami starters. Carlos, I get what you're saying, but that's not the standard that you really evaluate all this stuff by. My standard is what will it take to win championships again here at Miami, and not having a player on the defensive side of the football that will get invited to the Senior Bowl. How about if I put it in those terms?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have one. Okay, that will get drafted on day 1 or day 2 of the NFL draft rounds 1, 2, 3. We don't have one. Okay, that has to change. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and that all has to do with things that happen before the players ever step foot on campus, and I hope. I've been saying this for years, and like what I can't remember who it was earlier. Like, no, they're not going to listen to me. I mean, but I would argue it to the end of the day, man. It's like I've watched Bruce. We keep watching this year after year after year after year, where our teams aren't good enough. They're just not. They're win some, lose some, middle like ACC teams that go 8-4 every year. That's what we were under Golden. That's what we were, other than one season under Mark Richt, and then we lost the last 3 games in a row.
Yep.
And that's what we've been so far under Mario, who I honestly believe is the best recruiting head coach in the country. So if I've got the best recruiting head coach in the country, and I don't argue that if they didn't have Cam Ward this year, they would be an 8-4 team. I believe they would be. So if we're still at that same level from a personnel standpoint, and we got the best, we don't have anybody that can get drafted. We don't, on the defensive side of the ball, obviously Cam Ward is now going to get drafted on the offensive side. Restrepo's probably looking 4th, 5th round. Jacoby George is probably too skinny, late round. But the point I'm making is if we don't,
Arroyo's going to get picked.
Arroyo's going to be a 2nd round pick. But if we don't have guys on the side of the ball, like the defense, that are in that kind of class, that just tells me that the right players are not being brought to the best recruiting head coach in the country. And he can't do everything. He can't do all the vetting of recruits and run the program and do all the recruiting he does. And he can't game plan for both sides of the ball and know the opponent inside and out. And like all the things that are on the plate of a head coach, you have to have a complete program in this game. And you
have to trust your coordinators and your staff. I'm not going to say he doesn't, but I don't think a lot of fans do, because
you have to. Like you have no choice.
He has to, but we don't.
No, but I that's the deficiency, the biggest deficiency that I see in this football program. Still finishing up year 3 of Mario, and that is the evaluation of personnel and getting enough of the right guys in here and elite football players, and we don't have enough.
How about the development of the personnel, not just getting them?
Well, that's a separate argument, and that goes to the ability of the individual position coaches for the most part, and that's a whole nother argument whether they're good developers of talent.
Because it was pretty obvious that Butch was, that's for sure, and he knew how to find talent.
But to be a proper opinion guy on that subject, you have to literally be at every practice. And you have to be you have to be watching those position coaches at every practice, how they are trying to develop the kids, and see what the ability level is of those kids. Maybe that is a deficiency. We don't know, but we do know it's not showing up on game day on the defensive side of the ball. It is on offense, but not on defense, and that's got to change, Bruce.
Well, sure it does. But, I said this an hour ago. I'll say it again. How are we not getting any better practicing against this kind of skilled offense? The receivers, the tight ends, the running backs. How are we? And not only are we terrible tacklers, horrible angles, eye discipline is
not one position group on defense playing well. Not one.
Not right. But again, they're practicing against these guys. They're practicing against Cam Ward 3-4 times a week. What am I missing?
But they also are practicing a scout team.
Yeah, I know, but still.
But the point is we don't have one position group on defense playing well. That's the facts.
Who's our best defensive player this year, would you say?
Oh, to me, OJ Frederick. OJ Frederick.
Okay, and that's about it.
You don't even know he's out there, Bruce. They don't ever like. I don't have the stats in front of me. Pro Football Focus tracks this stuff. You wouldn't even know he's out there. That's how solid he is.
Yeah, I understand. He's near some of the balls, but I don't ever see him nowhere near the ball. That's
but my point is they don't throw at him.
Right. Why would you? Yeah. I don't know. I think that I'm hoping they change some of that defensive line stuff, like these guys are telling me, and get rid of this. Whatever they're doing, the stunts, just go up the field and get in the backfield. And instead of us worrying about what they're going to do, they need to start worrying about what we're going to do to them, which go right up the field, collapse that pocket, and just get in somebody's face. And that should allow the linebackers freedom to make plays. That's the way that the Bermuda Triangle did it. Those guys didn't make all the tackles.
But they don't have Bermuda Triangle
Of
personnel.
course they don't.
and they don't have Warren Sapp on the defensive line either.
Right. I know. I hear
All right,
you.
we want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Great show. Everybody that participated.
Yeah, good job, you guys.
Open week this week. No show next Tuesday. We'll be back in 2 weeks from tonight. We'll break down the Wake Forest game and see where the team's at as it gets ready to go to Syracuse on Thanksgiving weekend. So for Matt and Bruce, I'm Gary. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We will see you next time.